Welcome into Sports Time. No Brett today. Bryant and Zach with you again to round out the week. Brett will be back on Monday, just taking a couple days off for the 4th of July holidays. He'll be back on Monday, but Zach nice enough to fill in and help us out this afternoon. Connor also helping out producing this afternoon. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours and plenty to get into. Some good guests. Our regulars, also Keith Smith, going to join us later in the show, our usual guest on Thursday, but obviously being off yesterday for the 4th of July, Keith nice enough to join us on a Friday to talk the NBA, and plenty to talk about when it comes to the NBA with everything that's gone on in free agency since the last time we talked to him, which was before the start of free agency, so we'll have plenty to talk about with Keith Smith at 5 o'clock. But Zach, a lot happened yesterday on the 4th of July. We got a lot of Major League Baseball. We had the hot dog eating contest that we talked about a lot on Wednesday, and we talked about it at like 5:30 on Wednesday about how Joey Chestnut was not participating at Coney Island, but was going to participate that evening in Texas. Did you witness any of the Coney Island hot dog eating contest or Joey Chestnut's eating contest later in the evening down in Texas?
Well, first of all, good
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
I was going to say good evening. That's
Not evening yet. We're close. Just not there yet.
that lets you know where my brain is.
Hey, it's almost the weekend, Zach. I mean,
I did watch the Nathan's
Did you
hot
really?
dog eating
How
contest.
much? Did you watch like the whole thing? Were you sitting there just like counting down the dogs?
No, I wouldn't say waiting for bated breath.
Right.
I think I caught on right around when the competitors had like 20 or something like hot dogs,
And
20 to
watched it
30.
the rest of the way through.
Yeah, I watched on like basically halfway through, like from the middle on out,
Sure.
to see what the number is,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody was going to be competitive this year, and sure enough, I was like, still can't reach the number. Okay,
No, it was crazy. What was it? 58
it was
the winner?
58.
Which,
Joey's worst number was 62.
what did you see what Joey Chestnut did yesterday?
I did not.
5 minutes. We talked about this Wednesday. 5-minute hot dog eating contest. It was him versus 4 soldiers down they were at the Fort Bliss military site down in Texas.
Right.
And he was like 1 versus 4, I believe, and like if they could beat him, 4 of them combined against him. And he said one of his goals was, since he couldn't participate at the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, he wanted to try to beat whoever won at Nathan's in 10 minutes. He wanted to beat how many they ate in 5 minutes. He finished with 57 in 5 minutes.
One off.
We're sitting here on Wednesday talking about, we can eat like 6.
No.
7. You said 4.
I said 4.
You said 4 in 10 minutes. He ate 57 in 5.
I know my stomach. I know.
We're not professionals at this. Zach,
No.
He's a professional. That's what he does.
No, 4 veggie hot dogs were good enough for me.
Yeah. Did you eat any veggie hot dogs yesterday?
1.
Good celebration yesterday. Have fun.
Yeah. Two veggie burgers.
There you go.
What, a baked potato?
There you go.
And some pasta.
Heck yeah.
Just some light.
Something light. Shoot off any fireworks?
No.
No, not a firework guy, or just
Nah,
not this year.
not a. Well, I'm not a big fireworks in my hand type of guy, but
Well,
I'll watch it from a distance.
It can get tricky.
Yeah. I believe in safety
Yeah.
over fun.
Fire. Oh.
Yeah, that too. That's the important part.
I was at my girlfriend's house last night, and her brother lives in Nashville, but he's in town. He was in town for the holiday, and he was like, man, he's like, I don't know how old he is, but he's older. And he was like, man, I just want some fireworks to shoot off, man. Like why didn't we go get some fireworks? And his dad was like, well, there's some fireworks out there from like 4 or 5 years ago that we didn't use. Like, if you want to go try those, like, go for it. He's like, but I'm not doing it because, like, who knows what'll happen. So he went out there and got it, and it was just little stuff, and started shooting them off. Risky game to play with old fireworks.
Yes.
Because some of them work, Some of them don't work. Some of them work, but they're just very slow because it's like old. And like a couple times he'd light it and he'd back up and nothing would shoot off. And he would kind of take a step closer like he was going to go check on it. And then boom, there it goes. So it was risky business last night, but it was a good holiday. I hope everybody else had a happy 4th of July and good festivities around the holiday. And, you know, hopefully we can get you through these next couple hours until we get to the weekend. We made our golf picks on Wednesday. Did you watch any of the golf yesterday?
No. But I was keeping up with
the scores.
Yeah, this morning I was when we was doing the show.
I haven't checked in much today. I was gonna watch a lot today during Johnny Radio's show. But then we had Euros on, and so I was watching.
I gotta turn into the Euros.
Germany and I forgot who they're playing. I forgot who was playing. I know Germany was playing. Maybe Spain. I don't know. Germany and Spain, maybe.
No, Portugal and France are.
They're playing right now.
Yeah.
Was it still 0-0?
Yes.
Okay. I have
0-0. That's what they're calling.
I have a couple of bets out on that game. I think we already won one of them. So, Spain and Germany was the first game. So I was watching that instead of the golf. But we had a 59 yesterday. Hayden Springer shot a 59.
I know.
It was incredible. I mean, it was just lighting it up on the front nine. Kind of came back down to earth on the back nine, but when I say come back down to earth, it was a bunch of pars.
Yeah,
which is still great.
Again, he's fourth. He's 12 under through 4.
Yeah,
like he's just getting his round started.
Yeah, so wow, that's incredible. So so maybe another big day for him today. And can grow that lead.
Right now, there's a tie up at the leaderboard.
Who's tied for first?
CT Pan.
Oh yeah,
and Aaron Rye.
Oh, Aaron Rye had a good week last week.
That's my guy that I picked.
Yes, he double gloves.
I guess
he does, and it's a look.
That's one of my guys in the morning show. Not
right. You had Spieth and Ryan Palmer. Both guys kind of struggled yesterday, but we'll see what happens through the weekend. I've kind of enjoyed. It's fun to watch, and we were talking about this Wednesday with John, and then earlier in the day we talked about it during Dave's show as well. But I definitely enjoy. It's a lot more fun when you've got like the big dogs in there, like Scotty and Rory and those type of guys. But I enjoy like watching these guys that I'm not as familiar with their game, and kind of just watching and just kind of enjoying, and because I think what you're going to get from, or what to expect from like Scotty and Rory and some of those top guys. Ludwig is starting to kind of get up there with those guys, but like with these guys, I don't know who any of them are for the most part. I mean, I think yesterday or Wednesday we made our pick. I think Ryan Palmer was the only guy that any of us took that I had no idea who was. Never heard of Ryan Palmer in my life. But when you're just watching it, like there are a lot of guys that you kind of know, but like they're not going to be the marquee guys that are showed, during some of those bigger tournaments. And so I kind of enjoy watching it and kind of getting a better glimpse at some of these other guys. Yeah.
And funny enough, tied for third, Denny McCarthy.
I think I took him for Dave earlier.
Yeah, you did.
During Dave's show. So I wish I had taken my own advice. And
Davis Thompson's tied with third as well, so that's one of Johnny's guys. So.
I did that last time that I did the double pick. Double pick's hard. It's because you don't... I'm a very superstitious guy, Zach. So like there's almost like some superstition in there. It's almost like there are people that are very superstitious about betting. They won't bet on the same thing twice because that's bad luck. You double down on it, bad luck. I feel like I'm the same way when it comes to golf picks. Like if I pick somebody earlier in the day for Dave when he's out, I don't want to pick the same guy in the afternoon because if he's bad, then we both lose.
Yeah.
So I should have listened to my own advice because last time I picked for Dave, I think I picked a winner. And I didn't take my own advice in the afternoon and pick somebody else, and I think I got, a couple guys missed the cut. So, but it's fun. Hayden Springer, by the way, I was looking into him last night because, like I said, I didn't know much about him before. Obviously, he made a lot of news yesterday for his 59. He had like 6 straight missed cuts before this tournament. And is playing well right now, or maybe it was before last tournament, but has has not been playing well, but yesterday had a really, really good round. We're going to talk some baseball later, obviously with Alan Bell, and then we'll just talk some baseball at the end of this hour. We'll talk some football a little later as well, and basketball, but Summer League starts tomorrow, Zach.
Yeah.
The California Summer League. With a couple of those California teams, Miami Heat are playing in it. One of the Chinese national teams is participating in it. I don't know if it's like the Chinese national team that's going to participate in the Olympics or if it's just a national team. But they're playing in it as well. How much Summer League do you watch usually? I mean, I'm sure you watch a lot of the Grizzlies games, but when it's just not the Grizzlies, when it's like tomorrow, when it's Charlotte and the Lakers or something like that, like how much of that Summer League do you pay attention to?
I mean, I really based off of the roster.
So if there's a guy that you want to watch, you'll watch the game. If not, you're out.
And to see because certain teams have a really, really loaded roster.
Sure.
Like Utah's roster is loaded.
Yeah.
So I'm be very interested to see like a lot of their young guys on the floor.
Sure.
Because they got a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
And they were really good in college. I don't know, it's another team. I know the Trailblazers, they just dropped theirs not too long ago. Kendrick Davis is on the squad, so definitely I would want to tune in.
Kenny Chandler.
Yeah.
And obviously Donovan Clingan, so that'll be a
lot of
thing to watch.
A lot of Memphis connections in there.
Sure.
So it's mostly the young teams with a bunch of young dudes.
Yeah.
Especially with a lot of draft picks, lottery type level picks. That I'm like, okay, let me tune into it.
Sure. Yeah, and there'll be other teams with Tiger connections. I know, like the 76ers. David Jones, he'll be playing for them. I believe I saw Jaquan Walton is going to be with the Thunder during Summer League.
And then Naquan is with the Cavs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Cavs are going to be a fun team to watch. They've got him. They've got Burns.
Yeah.
I'm sure Amani's going to play Summer League. Oh, man.
It's going to be
Summer League Amani. Oh, it's a different beast.
When is is this the best crop of Summer League talent have we seen so far, in your opinion? Is this the best?
I don't know. I don't know if I could say that because it was such a weak draft. I think maybe more intrigue about this Summer League because I want to see some of these guys, especially all the international guys. But man, if you think this one, I mean, get ready for next year when you got like Cooper Flagg and Ace Bailey and. Well, we're seeing the kid from Baylor that's going to Baylor this year, VJ Edgecombe or something like that.
Edgecombe the fourth.
The kid looks incredible for the Bahamas right now. I don't know what the Bahamas are doing. I hope that team makes the Olympics. That's a fun team. I haven't watched any of their qualifiers, but
I know he had that one move.
Yeah.
And that dunk.
Man, he tried to yam on somebody.
He's gonna be a problem.
No, he's gonna be good.
He's gonna be a problem.
I like watching Baylor. But no, I'm intrigued, and obviously, like tomorrow, the Lakers go at I think like 3:30 our time, maybe. And that's gonna be on ESPN. A lot of the Summer League gonna be on ESPN this year and on NBA TV. But there would certainly be a ton of eyes on the Lakers tomorrow with Bronny James. Everybody wants to see Bronny play. Everybody wants to, see what he's about and what he's going to be about at this level. And I'm sure a lot of hot takes are going to come from tomorrow's game.
Of course.
For better or for worse, whatever he does, it's going to be a lot of people talking about him. I hope he goes out and plays well. I know it feels like should be the bigger story, but kind of the secondary story is going to be Dalton Connect for that Lakers team. But no, I'm excited to watch it and see. I know Boogie Ellis is playing for one of the Kings teams.
Yes, Sacramento.
Sacramento has two teams for this Summer League.
They do?
They have Sacramento Kings 1 and Sacramento Kings 2. Connor, which one is Boogie on? Is he on 1 or 2?
Boogie's on 1.
So Boogie's on Sacramento Team 1.
I didn't know there was two Sacramento teams.
Yeah, they're splitting it up. So
it kind of reminds me of the Jazz team a couple years ago. Before I think it was a Thunder, the Sixers decided to join. It was like a Jazz 1, Jazz Blue, Jazz White type of thing.
That's right.
Yeah, it was okay.
I guess Sacramento doing the same thing.
It's like that's kind of cheating. Like like why you got two Summer League teams?
Yeah.
Why everybody else only has one? Like
you're getting to evaluate more guys.
That's what I'm saying.
It's strange, but I guess when you're the host, you can
You can do whatever you
make
want.
Those decisions. Johnny Radio had J-Ham in earlier today talking basketball. And he started referencing the Orlando Summer League. Oh man, I used to love the Orlando Summer League. Right. That's when the Grizzlies won. The Summer League was in Orlando.
Shout out to Russ Smith.
That's right. Russ Smith was the hero.
Bringing home the championship.
That's right. Good times.
That place was so inclusive.
It was so bad.
It's so bad. It's like the practice gym of the.
You just have one row going around the entire gym.
Oh my goodness! And then
execs and stuff.
And then imagine going to Orlando, playing a few games down there, then having to hop on a plane.
That's right.
And then go play in Vegas.
That's right. I mean, good Lord.
It's like, man, I'm kind of glad Utah kind of created theirs. It's like, hey, like. Since everybody's on their way to Vegas, why don't a couple of you guys stop in Utah?
Well, Johnny Radio also had Jeff Jarrett on, the wrestler today, and he was cracking me up because he was talking about Summer League. He was like, "They're sending these guys to Salt Lake City. Nobody wants to be in Salt Lake City.
Nobody wants.
Think about all the excuses people are trying to make. Like, hey, coach, I can't get out there." Because that does seem tough, but you're only out there for 3 days, and then
and then you go. I mean, then it's Vegas.
Yeah,
and if you play well enough, you're there for a whole week.
That's right. So it'll be fun. I am looking forward to Summer League. It'll be a good time.
Outside of the underage kids that are there, they'll be on these teams. Yeah, because they can't do nothing.
They can't do anything, and I mean
they can't do nothing.
I mean, most of these guys, a good chunk of the guys out there are probably going to be younger, underage guys.
Just imagine, like, Gigi Jackson is 19 years old.
Holy cow.
And
he's already had 1 year in the NBA. He's back out in Vegas for the second time.
And he can't do nothing.
It's too bad.
He can't walk around late at night.
He could go to, like, a nice restaurant, He could go to, like, they got Hell's Kitchen out there, Gordon Ramsay's place.
Yeah, but...
I love Gordon Ramsay.
But other than that, what else can he do? He can't go to the casinos. He's underage.
It's true. I mean, I think you can do like a handshake and a pat on the back, and maybe have some money in the palm, and you're through, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not.
Depends on the casino you go to, I guess.
No. I'm not giving up my money just to kind of get in.
I'm sure there's a shady casino out there in Vegas.
There's nothing. There's no such thing as a shady casino.
All casinos are shady.
Yeah, it depends on how you look at it.
I guess so. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He'll join us to talk some wagering. We'll talk some baseball with him and get some picks for tonight and into the weekend. 3:45, we'll talk some more baseball. A jam-packed day yesterday for the 4th of July. Some good action and some good series starting this weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about that at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He'll join us. We'll talk some college football with him. Also, talk some baseball, get some picks from him for the weekend. 4:30, we'll talk some NBA, a little more free agency. We've got more news coming out in the NBA. Buddy Hield signed yesterday a sign-and-trade to get him to the Golden State Warriors. And Franz Wagner, he has signed a max extension with the Magic. Magic could be a problem next year, Zach, with him, KCP, Paolo. I mean, they could be a problem in the East. Not maybe not competing at the top, but certainly could be a team that could give you a scare in the playoffs. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Keith Smith, nice enough to join us on a Friday. We'll talk the NBA with him, as always, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. And at 5:30, we'll talk about what's trending. 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Summer is here, and it's time to party. 24-foot above-ground pools for $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and robotic cleaners, 20% off. Select in-stock patio furniture, up to 50% off. Play gyms, up to $1,000 off, and patio umbrellas, 20% off. 4-person hot tubs only $29.99.99. And don't forget about the discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while supplies last. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Let me also remind you to call or text to join the show. The Sissy's Log Cabin listener line is open, 901-360-8255. Give us your thoughts and opinions on anything we talk about for the next 3 hours. But let's go ahead and get to top story of the day.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, I think it's been this all week, but I got to stick with it. NBA free agency. We continue to get moves and deals being done. I thought it was interesting this morning. We were both filling in for Dave on his show and had Andy Schiffman in, and obviously the perfect person to talk about NBA free agency and just kind of how it all goes down with him. And, he was kind of breaking down how this week goes for him and just how hectic and crazy it is. And I loved one thing he said. He said, hours feel like days and days feel like months. And it's just, you're trying to do everything you can for your guys to get them in the perfect spot. And one thing that I didn't even think about is he talked about how as an agent you kind of have to monitor every team all the time because like he said, Buddy Hield goes to Golden State. So that maybe affects somebody that, Golden State was looking at, one of his guys, but it could also affect, a guy for the 76ers. What does that roster look like now?
Yeah.
And so all of these deals affect him and affect his guys. So I thought it was very interesting to get kind of an agent's point of view earlier today. But in terms of deals, it's been a slow day today, but yesterday you had Buddy Hield sign and trade to Golden State, like I said. I think it's a good deal for Golden State in terms of trying to replace Klay Thompson. I don't think he's necessarily Klay Thompson, but he's not a bad option as kind of a guy that can knock down shots for you. I mentioned it just a second ago, but the Magic getting Franz Wagner extended, I think is huge for them. That Magic team was good, but, and they were fun to watch. But when they got to the playoffs, they kind of hit a wall, and it felt like that kind of team that just gets to, first-time playoffs with this group, and, they had their struggles and went up against a good Cavs team and, ended up not being able to get out of the first round. So I think getting him extended, but bringing in a guy like KCP that has that finals experience, has that getting all the way to that championship round, I think that's going to help that group a lot that has a lot of young guys. So I like that move a lot, and we'll see what else happens. We're still waiting to see the Grizzlies make a move with Luke Kennard. I still feel very confident that deal's going to happen. I liked what you said, Zach, on Wednesday. Just kind of wait and see what that market looks like, how the market speaks in terms of value for these kind of specialty players, these three-point specialists. And I think now we're starting to see it with Buddy Hield, and maybe over the weekend, Monday at some point, maybe we'll have an answer on Luke Kennard.
Yeah, I think we're 2 hours in on since the moratorium has been lifted.
Right. Yeah.
So again, and funny enough, we'll talk to Keith Smith here in the next couple of hours because he put out a tweet that made a lot of sense. And it did bring up one scenario where there's the Grizzlies traded for Cam Spencer, but that trade has still not been official yet.
Has it not?
It's not.
Really?
Not that we know of.
But I thought it had to be official for him to be at the press conference.
I think with draft picks, it's fine.
I see. Interesting.
As long if I'm not mistaken, draft picks are fine because during the draft you're just swapping picks all day.
Right.
It's not like there was a contract involved.
Right.
With it. So I'm not saying that there's movement in that realm, but for the fact that it's not official,
that is interesting.
And we're still kind of waiting for that official release of it. That there could be something there.
That's interesting because I was thinking about this earlier. Jalen Wells joined Eli this morning on Sports 56 Mornings, and we were kind of talking about how you see these guys out a lot of places. They're doing interviews.
Right.
And I mentioned to you, I've seen a lot of Zach Edey. I've seen a lot of Jalen Wells.
Where is Cam Spencer? I've not
seen Cam Spencer outside of the introductory press conference. So maybe you're on something. Maybe something's there.
Because typically when rookies go through their media scrum or media circuit, different event circuits, you have everyone there.
Yeah, if they do it as a group.
Right. But the fact that he's not there kind of bring, make your spidey senses kind of tingle. Because it's like, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, well, especially like the Redbirds game. Because it was 2 of them there. And where's Cam Spencer? Why isn't he here doing all of this stuff? So
yeah, he was at the press conference. He answered a couple questions, and all of a sudden, he's not there. So
that's interesting. Something to keep an eye on. Let's get to Not Top.
Not Top Story of the Day.
My not top story of the day has got to be Major League Baseball, as we're past the 4th of July, getting closer and closer to the All-Star break, and kind of looking at how some of this stuff is breaking down right now. There are some interesting things, especially when you look at the standings. I immediately go to the AL West. Last year, the AL West so competitive down the stretch. I mean, you started watching those last week of the season, and it was, wow, 2 of these teams are only a game back of, that spot, and, they all play each other, and yada, yada, yada. And all. It really came down to pretty much the last day. And so looking over there now, the Seattle Mariners are in first right now, but in the last 10 games, they've really struggled. 3-7 in the last 10, just lost a series to the Baltimore Orioles, where in the first 2 games, those 2 losses, they combined for 7 total hits. One of those games, only 2 hits. So it's been a struggle for them. Right behind them, though, the Houston Astros, who really struggled early in the season, they've really turned it around. Only 2 games back in the AL West, sitting 45-42. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. The Cardinals, they're 6 spots back from the Milwaukee Brewers in the NL Central, and the Reds and the Pirates are right there kind of behind them. It feels like hard to believe any of these teams making a run to overtake the Brewers, but I guess there's always possibility. The Cardinals sitting in the 3rd wild card spot right now, with the Diamondbacks, Mets, and Giants right there behind them. But at the top, it's still the Phillies playing really solid baseball right now. Dodgers playing solid baseball, even though they've lost 2 straight. Cleveland's playing really well. I mentioned the Orioles have been playing really well as well. So, some good baseball going on in Major League Baseball. It's fun yesterday on the 4th of July, kind of watching all of the action and kind of seeing how it plays out. And I'm excited in this next segment to talk to Alan Bell, maybe get some plays for tonight's game.
Yeah, and speaking of teams not playing well, all of a sudden the Yankees are 2 of 8 in the last 10.
Oh, that's a great point. I mean, they've been struggling. You said 2 of 8 in the last 10. They've lost 3 straight games against the Reds.
Yeah.
And the Reds are a fine team, but
they're definitely a contact hitting type of team.
Oh yeah.
And they roughed up the Yankees pitching.
They sure did. So maybe some questions there. And we've kind of talked about that, Brett and I have, of this Yankees team. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be a high seed in the playoffs. I mean, right now, 54-35. But when's the next important game for them? It's probably when they get to the playoffs. And so, it's hard to kind of turn that switch off and just say, we got to get through the rest of the regular season. And then when the playoffs come, turn it right back on and be competitive. And, I mean, that kind of scares me. You're seeing that their pitchers were really good at the start of the season. They've kind of struggled lately. Yeah. Even Gill, who was really good to start the season, his last couple outings haven't been really good. So.
Yeah. Maybe it's just as simple as a simple reset.
Maybe
they've done a really good job ever since Garrett Cole went down with his injury.
Yeah.
Kept this Yankee team afloat. Obviously, when you got Judge, Soto, and Stanton hitting bombs for you, it helps.
Sure.
It helps a lot, but definitely this pitching staff kind of needs a little bit of a reset.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Well, I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break, and when we come back, we're talking some wagering with Alan Bell.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Impossible! Not call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 915246799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamond so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds, a luxury brand, Rolexes, and popular Perkins Extended.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. You'll find the lowest rates on Tuesday through Thursday afternoons. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
O'Reilly. Need a little help? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Need advice? We've got advice. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Exceptional customer service. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stacks, Norsworthy, and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Zach with you. No Brett. He'll be back on Monday. We're with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And joining us now on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line, Alan Bell joins us to talk some baseball, talk some wagering. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you had a happy 4th of July yesterday. Plenty of baseball to watch throughout the day yesterday. Anything stick out to you? What's been sticking out to you with some of these teams in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, man. First off, appreciate having me back, buddy. And, second, I love having every team play. Mm-hmm. It's like weird as that sounds. Like I like a day where we have day baseball, night baseball. Yep. And I understand. Like you can't obviously do that, a ton, right? Because mm-hmm. you've got a lot of moving parts. But no, man. Like I just like that. July 4th and Independence Day. Like it's a baseball day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it just feels good to sit and watch. I'll say this: teams that we have on East Coast going to the West Coast. Mm-hmm. Dude, it's tough. And then you look at like a team like the Seattle Mariners. Oh, man. My goodness. If you want to bet, if you want to bet unders, just bet unders on Mariners games, dude, because they cannot. Yeah, I know that they hit last night. That was the first time in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, and I claim the Mariners as my AL team. I love watching the Mariners play, and I've been telling people that exact same thing all years. Like, I understand they're leading their division and they've got a good team, but when they get up against teams like the Baltimore Orioles, some of these teams that are also at the top of their divisions, at the top of baseball, they cannot hit the ball, and that's going to become a problem, especially when we get closer to the playoffs and into the playoffs.
Oh, dude, I mean, like it was weird. And look, I understand this too. I mean, and I'm not saying that you know it, like you watch the team. Like they have injuries that they're dealing with, sure. And slumps happen and all that. Mm-hmm. But the Mariners are projected to have over 100 wins, right? It goes to show like that's how good their pitching is. Oh, like they have phenomenal pitching, dude. Like if anybody out there is a fan of pitching, the Orioles and Mariners series was your series because there are strong pitchers on both sides. But Yeah, you're right, dude. Like, it's weird to see a team that's probably going to win 100 games. So you're like, man, I don't know if they can score a run tonight. Like, it's crazy, but they'll turn it around. I mean, it's Major League Baseball. Like, there's ups and downs for everybody.
Well, it was like the first 2 games of that series, the 2 losses they took, they combined for like 7 hits total in those 2 games. In the first one, they got 2 hit. I mean, it's been a struggle for them. But looking around Major League Baseball, Zach and I were talking about it to start the show. This Yankees team has kind of struggled lately, and it's I think a lot has been the pitching. The pitching has not been as good as maybe it was to start the season. They just really struggled against the Cincinnati Reds. Now they get the Boston Red Sox at home. What have you seen this past week or so from this New York Yankees team?
Man, good call, on the pitching, and they're going to have to get that shored up if they want to make a real run at it. Obviously, injuries, with Rizzo, Stanton, those guys. When you lose big bats like that, it changes the way that your lineup affects. But the crazy thing for the Yankees, from a betting aspect, is like been watching them the last couple of days. They'll have 0 runs every game going into the 7th, and they'll lose 8-4. But they score 4 to 5 runs in like the last 2 innings. They seemingly do it every night, man. It's wild. But I'll tell you this, anytime that you are looking to get out of a slump or you're dealing with stuff, due to injuries, nothing like playing against a team that you absolutely hate, in the Red Sox. Because that's what I love about those games is that you just have no idea what's going to happen. And looking at the Red Sox side, I swear they go into extra innings like every other night. I swear it's like every night. It's 11:30, and I'm like, why are the Red Sox still playing? And they're in the 14th inning. You know what I mean? So it'll be a good series for sure. So.
I know we talk a lot with you about the St. Louis Cardinals, both Brett and I, big Cardinals fans. And we've kind of been talking about this, especially after last weekend when, they play the Cincinnati Reds and, a couple of the games they win and, it's close games, but they get the win. And then the other 2 games, it feels like they get blown out by this Reds team. When you look at this Cardinals team, How would you describe them? If you had to describe this Cardinals team using one word, what would it be? Because I feel like this team's very up and down. They're very inconsistent. How would you describe this Cardinals team?
I think inconsistent, is a good word. I also think, let me say this, I also think overachieving at times. And that's what causes the inconsistency because they'll play way higher, honestly, than they probably should.
Right.
And, that's what causes it because, kind of that mid-low, area that you were just talking about, 2 of them to get blown out. Like, this is not really a good Cardinals team on roster, right? No. But there's something about that franchise, dude, that, they just don't quit. It's like the Miami Heat. They just will not go away. So I give them credit that they pull themselves higher than, quite frankly, where they should be. And I think right now this team would be a wild card team, which is crazy. But here's the interesting part about that, right? So make yourself the GM of the Cardinals right now, okay? Mm-hmm. You've actually overachieved just enough that, towards the trade deadline, you were sellers. Everybody knew you were sellers. Time to blow the thing up. Now it's like, okay, are we actually buyers? Do we go for it? That's the weird thing, man. They just give that franchise credit, dude. They just will not quit. That's a culture. You know what I mean? You can't buy that. You either have it or you don't.
Well, Alan, you read my mind because I was just about to ask you that same question. So I'm still going to ask it to you. I'm going to turn it on you. If you're the GM of this team, because Brett and I have talked about this a lot, it doesn't feel like a go-for-it season for the Cardinals. But like you mentioned, they're overperforming. It looks like right now they're in the wild card. If you're the GM around the deadline, do you say, let's try to buy a couple things, get firmly in the wild card, and see what we can do? Or do you say, look, this team's not very good. We overperformed a little bit. Let's be sellers. Let's kind of get rid of these guys and start working towards the future where we can really be a team that can go for it in 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, I think that, you play it economically smart, right? Mm-hmm. You definitely put out the offers that you were normally going to put out. See what you can get out there. Doesn't mean you're going to do it, but put the house up for sale, and let's just see what somebody will offer. Yeah. We don't have to sell it. We don't have to do it. But if somebody offers me something crazy, yeah, man. But I think that right now, really, for them, it's okay, don't make the big deal of signing somebody that you're kind of iffy about. That's the only thing that can go bad.
Right.
You know, just kind of identify the talent that you have that will be here for the future and try to lock them in as just efficiently, market efficient as possible, because that's what the Cardinals do. Like, I just, referenced the Miami Heat. It's kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers forever, or the Green Bay Packers. Like, don't make the bad deal. Let's find our core key pieces and build around them. And quite frankly, if there's one franchise you really don't need to worry about, it's probably them.
Yeah.
So we've been dealing with a lot of pitchers, like with injuries, with arm-related injuries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How can MLB protect the pitchers? Because I think the pitch clock idea. I think the pitch clock idea is working. Mm-hmm. In my mind, it is speeding up the game just a bit. But I feel like at times it rushes the pitchers to throw pitches that are uncomfortable with their arm. So what can MLB do to alleviate so many arm-related injuries to their pitchers?
Yeah, you ask a great question, man, and there's probably 5 answers to it, right? That's the side of a good question. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you do? The pitch clock definitely is part of it. I don't think that it's going anywhere. But I would say, in regards to that, like, there's going to be just a period of getting used to it, right? It's just going to take time. Number 2, and this is what is causing, like, the distribution of talent. Like, pitching is just so much better than hitting in Major League Baseball right now, because every pitcher gets up and throws as hard as possible on every pitch. It's like, dude, you can't do that. Like, you don't have to throw 99 for 35 pitches in a row. You know what I mean?
Right.
Greg Maddux threw 84, and he might still be pitching somewhere, right? Like, so it's like give and take, man, because that's why pitchers are so good, is that you have so many arms that can just keep throwing 100. But it's like, dude, arms aren't built to do that, man. So, there's a lot of give and take to be had. But I think you're right on the pitch clock. Like, that'll actually solve number 2 of throwing too hard. Is it's like, hey, look, man, you don't have a minute to stand up there,
right,
rest, and then throw again. So how about let's learn a circle change? You know what I mean? Like, let's work that into the rotation, and that'll help those guys. Probably won't help in the next year or 2, but it'll help down the road.
Alan, I want to get some picks for tonight and this weekend, but I'm curious about this matchup. Mets and Pirates starting in a couple hours. 5:40 Central is the set first pitch time. Paul Skeens, everyone's been talking about him. He's so fun to watch. 4-0 with a 2.06 ERA going up against this Mets team that, yes, they've lost their last 2 games, but, I mean, last week with Grimace throwing out the first pitch and the role they went on after that, what do you see in this game? Is there any edge with Paul Skeens, who's been so good, but it feels like the last 2 or 3 outings he's had, he gives up a run in the first inning and then is fine after that. Do you like anything in this Mets-Pirates game? What do you see there?
Yeah, so, all right, you know what? I'm going to go with that. No run first inning from either team, all right? It's about minus 125, somewhere there, depending on the book that you have. Because you're exactly right. Paul Skeens, it seems like he gives up a home run, like, in the first inning of every game, and then he throws 7 just lights-out innings, right? And what that is that's college baseball, right? Like, that's getting adjusted to Major League Baseball. And, I mean, if that's what, like, that's a good problem to have if, like, that's your only issue, if you're, Paul Skeens. Because it's like, all right, you're going to get that down. Don't worry about it. It just takes time. Because everything else is electric. Yeah. You know what I mean? Especially with the Mets coming off of a 1-0 loss yesterday to the Nationals, traveling again. I think that you're going to see probably some slow bats early in this one. So, yeah, I like the no-run first inning. Or if you want to play like a first 5 under, 3.5, 4.5 runs, that's probably a good play too.
I like that. Is there anything else you like tonight in Major League Baseball, or maybe anything you're keeping an eye on into this weekend?
Yeah. So there's 2 plays that I like, man. So first off, the Orioles are starting their series against the Oakland A's, this West Coast run. You're having 2 kind of bullpen, kind of starting pitchers in the middle on each side here. And there's going to be humidity and wind blowing out. Take the over 8 in that game. Yeah, because both pitchers are going to give up bombs. They're going to give up hits, and both teams are ready to go. And then the Houston Astros, dude, they've won 12 of their last 14 games. They're on absolute fire. There's 2 ways to play it. If you want to play a money line, you can. But you could play an over in that game because guess what? They've won 12 of the last 14. but they're giving up 5 or 6 runs in these games too. They're just scoring 8, 9, 10 runs in a game. So if you want to play the Astros to win it, great. If you want to play the over, great. I think both of them are strong plays there.
I like both those plays a lot for later tonight. But as always, Alan, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday.
Hey, look forward to it, buddy. Y'all have a good one, man. Have a great weekend, okay?
Thanks, Alan. Alan Bell joining us from the AB3 and Driving the Line, giving out some good plays for later tonight in Major League Baseball. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little more baseball, what's going on this weekend, some good matchups, and kind of where everything sits right now in the standings. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Take advantage of incredible deals like 20% off all used clubs, Orange Dot apparel starting at $29.99, and all closeout shoes and bags get an extra 20% off. Shop in store or online for great Independence Day deals. Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf, home of the 90-day satisfaction guaranteed. Get there.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for heavy-duty truck and van storage equipment, not just to protect their valuable tools, but to protect their professional reputations. For pros, the WeatherGuard badge makes a statement about what drives them. It says, "Bring it on. Been there. Done that. We've got your back," without saying a word. And the folks at WeatherGuard, they're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. See what it means to be driven at WeatherGuard.com.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stacks Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Zach with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We just talked a lot of baseball with Alan Bell. We'll talk some more here. I mentioned with him, I was curious his thoughts on the game tonight between the Pirates and the Mets. And I always say this, whenever Paul Skeens is going for the Pirates, he's 4-0 right now. I think they lost his last game, but he didn't get the loss because all those runs came after. And that's happened a couple of times. But it feels like when Paul Skeens is on the mound, that Pirates team hits the ball. They crush the ball when he's pitching. And like, it's almost like this team is driven by confidence. And when they see Paul Skeens on the mound, a young, flashy, dominant pitcher, they want to back him with runs. And, I mean, because you look and it's like, okay, Pirates score 2 runs, Pirates score a run, Pirates score 3 runs, and it's like Paul Skeens pitches, and it's like 5 runs for the Pirates, 6 runs for the Pirates. It's like, I don't know what it is, but they find ways to score around him, and so it feels like a good bet, maybe a first 5 or even a game to bet the Pirates when he pitches. But on the other side, you have this Mets team that Grimace magic, I don't know what you want to call it. Grimace goes out there, throws the first pitch, and they won 8 straight. But then as of late, they've kind of been struggling, and so I don't know. I don't really know what to expect. They just lost back-to-back games against Washington, who the Nationals are better than they were last year, but they're still not a great team. That's who the Cardinals will get tonight. But I don't know. I think that's going to be a fun game tonight. Certainly a game I'm going to be paying attention to. But Zach, have you watched much Paul Skeens? I know some people are calling for Paul Skeens to start in the All-Star game, and I don't know. I don't think I'm there yet. No, I love Paul Skeens. He's one of my favorite pitchers, but I don't think I can get behind him starting in the All-Star game.
No, I haven't seen Paul Skeens pitch, but I'm aware of like the impact that he's putting on the Pirates.
Yeah.
Pitching in the All-Star game, I don't think so. I think there's better pitchers.
I'm cool with him pitching in the All-Star game. I just don't know if I'm down with him starting.
He's not starting. Maybe coming off the bench, maybe out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
But I don't see. I don't see him starting the All-Star game because he had a great rookie year.
And they actually announced the All-Star starters yesterday, 2 days ago, on the 3rd. Let's go through those real quick. The American League, Adley Rutschman is going to be the starting catcher from the Orioles, obviously. His first starter selection, young guy. First base, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., guy that might be, could be on the move at the deadline. Second base, Jose Altuve from the Astros. Shortstop, Gunnar Henderson, another guy, first starter selection. Third base, Jose Ramirez from the Guardians. Designated hitter, Yordan Alvarez. Outfield, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Stephen Kwan. Oh, man, Stephen Kwan. Not enough people are talking about Stephen Kwan in the season he's having. I don't know exactly what he's batting this year.
He had another 3-hit game, though.
Is he on your fantasy team?
No, he's not, but he's on, I think, one of my competitors.
367 this year in 248 at-bats. That's incredible. But nobody's talking about him, and I don't know why. Good player.
I don't know why either.
Morgan State. I don't know, but he'll be a starter, so that's good.
First place Indians.
That's right. Guardians.
I'm sorry.
Oh, Zach.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I was doing so well.
Man. We were almost through the first hour, Zach. Jeez.
Oh, I was doing so well.
Man.
I knew it was going to happen.
It happens, It gets tricky with all the new name teams. National League, William Contreras is going to be the starting catcher. Bryce Harper going to be the starting first baseman. Ketel Marte, the starting second baseman. Trey Turner, starting shortstop. Alec Baum. Yeah, that's right. I don't know why. I just forgot his name. Boom. You can open your mic, Connor, and tell me what it is. I mean,
I think it's Bohm.
I think it's Bohm. I think you're right. It is Bohm. Alec Bohm.
B-O-H-M? Yeah.
Designated hitter Shohei Ohtani. Outfield Christian Yelich. Jurickson Profar. And Fernando Tatis Jr. How about that? Starting pitching not announced. That'll be announced later.
Yeah.
But those are your position players. How much do you pay attention to the All-Star Week when it comes to Major League Baseball?
In the past, I used to be all in.
Really?
Like, All-Star Week?
Yeah. I think Major League Baseball All-Star Game is the best All-Star game out there.
I mean, I think part of that was because I was playing baseball in high school and over the summer, so it was like, we're definitely going to watch this so we can have something to talk about with our teammates and everything, and obviously trying to see how we can improve our game and pick up little habits from the pros. Now, not so much. I don't know. It's not as appealing because I know a lot of the bullpen, but a lot of the starting pitchers, they're not throwing in the All-Star game, which again they got every right to. They got a long season. The last thing they need to do is put more miles on their arms.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess it's not the same in my eyes.
Yeah. So you'll watch the game. Or no, or maybe like flip back and forth to the game.
If I remember to flip it on, I will.
I like that. I like that approach when it comes to anything. If I remember it's on, I'll flip it over. What about like the home run derby? Are you watching the home run derby?
I will watch the home run derby.
Home run derby's fun. They always say though that it messes up your swing because you're trying to launch it up instead of just trying to make contact.
Yeah, you're trying to mash it every single time rather than just saying, hey, like hitting for contact.
Like I know that was a big thing last year or 2 years ago. One of the two when Julio was in the home run derby.
And I think that hurt Pete Alonso for a hot minute.
Like that's always like if you're paying attention to like that market, it's all they talk about after the home run derby. It's like, oh man, he's in the home run derby. His swing's done now. Which Julio Rodriguez, his swing's been awful all year. He did hit a home run yesterday.
Yeah,
but like that was for like 3 or 4 weeks. It was like he can't hit another home run. Like his swing's off.
Yeah,
it's all fault of the home run derby.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah. I know. I had Pete Alonso on my fantasy team, and I know there was like a long stretch where he's like going like 1 for 5, 0 for 3, 0 for 4, and I'm just like, Pete, we was doing so well at the beginning.
You're my star.
Yeah, like what's going on with you? And then, sure enough, it's like that's the reason why
home run derby.
When the mindset is to hit the ball as far as you can, then that's when things start to kind of get wonky.
Well, you know they changed the format for the home run derby this year. Really?
I hate it. I don't like it.
So the change now is like it's a pool pretty much for the start, and then the top like 4 or so end up going, and then it's bracketed, and
I don't like it.
Really? So you like the bracket that they've done the last couple of years?
No.
You just like that everybody get up there and hit and we'll crown a champion.
Whoever hits the most home runs move on. I don't care.
Almost
I
like
could care less. Because the thing is like you get one bracket where a bunch of dudes they don't hit a home run, and then you're just sitting there like, well, like this is boring.
Yeah.
Like we thought dudes were gonna come in.
So you like it more like the 3-point contest where it's just everyone's out there shooting.
Yeah.
And like we'll take the top 3 into the finals.
Top 3 and let's keep it moving, man.
Yeah, interesting. I like that. But I mean, personally, as a guy that likes to bet on things,
I know you like brackets, so
brackets mean more things to bet on. You know,
brackets doesn't mean anything.
Well,
because you could be the 1 seed and then you just
that's true
get knocked out in the first round because you wasn't hitting enough home runs.
That is true. I mentioned earlier the Nationals. They beat the Mets last 2 games. They'll play the Cardinals starting tonight. I'm really excited to watch this because James Wood, they're one of their top prospects that they just called up for this last series. He's been hitting the ball well, batting .308 right now. Obviously limited sample size, only 13 at bats, but a 6'7" center fielder, only 21 years old. Hit the ball really well in spring training, so I'm looking forward to see him these next couple of days against the Cardinals. But it should be a good weekend of baseball, of action. We might come back and talk some more baseball. We'll definitely get some picks in our next segment with Bruce Marshall. So let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking some college football. We're talking some baseball with Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. He joins us next.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamonds so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. The no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds, a luxury brand, Rolexes, and popular Morgans Extended.
As you know, summer is right around the corner, and for most people, that means more activities, more golf, more biking, more of whatever you love to do. But if you're dealing with aches and pains, your more could become less. This is why I'm here to tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that helps fight pain naturally. For instance, I was sent Relief Factor to try, and I've been taking it every single day. I'll tell you what, I feel the difference every day. You see, instead of masking your pain, Relief Factor's formula is designed to help reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, and it's been a game changer for so many people. So let's get after it this summer. Let's feel good. Let's do more of the things that we love to do. Don't let pain keep you down. Give Relief Factor a try and save on your first order. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Help fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition.
If you're looking to move out of your parents' place, you could really cut expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive, which is good because your little brother has gotten really territorial. You're blood related. You'd think it would be fine to share food in the fridge. I mean, who writes their name on every individually wrapped slice of cheese, Tyler? Still, you've got to admire the commitment. So bundle your renter's and car insurance with Progressive and use the savings to help you move out and have all the cheese you want. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Fiveash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting to crank up a little bit more volume in the last few minutes out here. 240 east from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. In pretty good shape so far. Headed out to Collierville. There's still some radar out here down I-40. Certain sections of through Arkansas this afternoon. I-40 headed out towards Forest City. 51 back up into Millington looks pretty good right now. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting stations. Oh, yeah. Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, BameSports.net. With over 30 years on Memphis radio, with Cable Captain and Sports Talk, here's Bruce Marshall with Brian and Brett.
Bruce Marshall joins us now from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BamSports.net. Talk a little bit of everything, also talk some wagering. Bruce joins us now. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start off with some college football. July 1st is where we saw most of the conference changes in college football. The Texas and Oklahoma going to from the Big 12 to the SEC. You got SMU going to the ACC. Some of the other ones, I think a few are waiting until August 1st until they officially make the change. But kind of looking at this, I know we've talked a lot over this summer about Texas and Oklahoma going to SEC, kind of what that will look like. But when you look at some of these teams leaving the Pac-12, going to the Big 10, like Oregon, Washington, UCLA, and USC, out of those four teams, what team has success year one in the Big Ten, and which team struggles in year one in the Big Ten?
Oregon, I think, is the one that's most likely built for success. They brought in, Gabriel at quarterback. Lanning stayed. Did not take the call from Alabama, or he took it and said no. Jimmy Sexton took it and said no for him. But Oregon, I think, is set up to make the most noise. Washington's in a kind of a reboot here. They brought in Jed Fish from Arizona, who was a good hire, but I mean, there's a lot of people they lost from last year, and that kind of came out of nowhere the last 2 years from Washington. I think there's evidence the other three, other than Oregon, may struggle some this year. Although, I mean, the Big Ten, aside from the top few teams, is not all that strong really last year. So I don't know that any of these teams are going to get run over. The one you want to watch, I think, UCLA's got a new coach in Deshaun Foster. Generally positive reviews, but he's never been a head coach before, so we'll see how that works. Lincoln Riley might be feeling some heat at USC when you think about it. I mean, they kind of fell apart to 7-5 last year. This is a team that was in the top 5 the first half of the season. Caleb Williams has left. And their schedule is unforgiving, including opener with LSU in Vegas, and they got to go to Michigan in the first month. So Notre Dame, they got to play Notre Dame again too. So it's looking like it could be a very bumpy ride for USC, I think.
Well, you mentioned Lincoln Riley might have some heat on him, especially if this season kind of starts going south. Who are some coaches that entering this season at the Power 5, I guess Power 4 level now, enter the season with heat on them?
Yeah, I mean, there's there's a whole bunch, I think, that could. You think about, the SEC right off the bat, who might have some, who might be looking there. There were enough changes last year, but there's still a few. I think Billy Napier's under a lot of pressure at Florida. That's probably the most in the SEC, and that's a very coveted job still.
Yeah.
So I would really watch that situation there. Clark Lee might. I mean, not that anybody's thinking much for Vanderbilt, but I think he's in a little bit of trouble there. So I think in the SEC we're looking mostly at Napier. The Big Ten, certainly, none of the top teams. We had that change last year. Of course, Harbaugh moved to the NFL, so we'll watch the replacement coming in there from staff. Maybe PJ Fleck is going to feel a little heat. Maybe Bielema is feeling a little bit of heat. So I, watch a couple of those in the ACC. There might be a few in the ACC as well. But Napier comes in, I think, as hot a seat as anybody this year.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. Looking into the SEC, I was reading Phil Steele's magazine, and I saw that he put out, in terms of 2025 draft-eligible quarterbacks, he had Jackson Dart listed as the second quarterback right behind Carson Beck from Georgia. I think most people would agree that Carson Beck is the going to be the best, certainly one of the best quarterbacks in college football this season, and probably the top quarterback taken as long as this year goes well. In the draft, where do you see Jackson Arnold in that race? Do you agree with Phil Steele that he might be number 2 in terms of draft-eligible guys, or where does Jackson Dart land in terms of quarterback rankings for you entering the season?
Oh, he could be. I mean, but we've still got a whole season to go, and there are going to be some others. I mean, I think Jalen Milroe is a very interesting case here because his stock really went up last year as the season progressed, and he progressed so much at Alabama. Quinn Ewers at Texas, I think, is getting some Heisman mention too. This is another quarterback coming into the SEC. So I mean, those two. Deion's son, Shadur at Colorado, opened up a lot of eyes last year too. So he would be there. I mean, Dart might be in the top 5 right now, but there's still time. Things can change here, and there's a lot of different directions that this could go. I mean, we'll see how good Gabriel does at Oregon this year. And speaking of teams moving, Arizona's moving to the Big 12. Noah Fafita, at the last half of last season, I thought he was probably the best freshman quarterback in the country, and if not in the top 10 in the whole country. And he did not move to Washington with Jed Fish, so he stuck around for Brett Brennan, and his top receiver stuck around with him. So there's a long shot name to watch, Noah Fafita at Arizona.
Well, you mentioned Quinn Ewers in there, and he kind of made headlines earlier this week and made some people upset when I think it was during their big, Texas party going to the SEC. He said that that Texas is everyone's biggest game. What did you make of those comments? Do you think Texas is going to be the biggest game for most, if not all, of their opponents this year?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Oklahoma maybe. I think A&M's back on the schedule for Texas. I haven't looked, so maybe for a couple. But no, it'll take a while. I mean, there's too many other long-range, long-standing rivalries in the SEC, and that's the one thing is as this schedule adjusts and they continue to make adjustments with it in years coming forward. You want to make sure that some of these old rivalries stay intact too, and you're in danger of losing some with the league expanding like that. And Georgia, Auburn, for example, Auburn's got two long rivalries there in Georgia and Alabama. So are they going to? They got to keep the Iron Bowl, but I mean, Georgia Auburn is the longest rivalry in the South. So I'm glad at least some of those are there. But that's what I'm watching in the next couple of years. I hope they don't. I hope they will preserve a couple of these that are really special in the SEC.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point because it's going to get a little dicey out there when you're talking about scheduling and trying to figure out how to make it work, especially if they stay or even go more to more SEC games. I saw over in the Big 12 they released their preseason poll as they get ready for media days, and they had Utah #1 in the preseason, followed by Kansas State and Oklahoma State. Utah going into the Big 12, do you feel like they'll be at the top of that conference, or do you think they'll face some competition from those teams like Kansas State, Oklahoma State, even Kansas in there I think was listed at #4?
Well, they will. I mean, because right now, you've taken probably the top two teams out of the Big 12. Although Oak State got into the title game instead of Oklahoma last year, we really missed something. We would have liked to have seen Oklahoma and Texas go at it one more time last year, but Oklahoma had a couple of slips there, so we didn't get to see it. So, I mean, there's a little vacuum at the top of the league, and maybe Utah can occupy that. The interesting thing about the Big 12 this year, I think, is that a couple of these teams that are considered near the top, Utah being one, Kansas another, both of them were based without their quarterbacks all of last year, Rising for Utah and Daniels for Kansas. If both of those guys come back and can play and don't get hurt, I think they'll both be in the mix. Kansas State, of course, and Howard transferred out, but they love Avery Johnson, who played some as a freshman last year. So I think they'll be there. And I wouldn't count out Matt Campbell. He got Iowa State back to a bowl. Of course, they played Memphis and lost to the Tigers in the Liberty Bowl last year, but they had some adjustments, and their quarterback, a freshman last year, Rocco Beck, looked pretty good as the season went on. So I think they'll be in the mix too. But is there any national contender in the Big 12? Not that I see right now. And maybe Utah's the top, but I think that's kind of a wide open race.
I'm sure we've talked about this before, but a lot more talk about it here locally with the season really starting to sneak up on people. I mean, media days are really getting started. SEC 2 weeks away is hard to believe. But when you look at the Tigers, the Memphis Tigers, a lot of people here talking about the chance of being in that 12-team college football playoff. When you look at this roster for Memphis, what do you see, and who are some other teams, group of 5 teams out there that could give them a test in being that team that represents the group of 5?
Oh, well, Memphis, I mean, definitely is going to be. I mean, I think they're probably the pick if you had to make one right now. Yeah. Out of the American, I mean, who's going to be the team there? Tulane's got a coaching change there. And even last year they weren't quite what they were the year before. So I think Memphis is probably the pick there. They've signed Ryan Silverfield to an extension. The schedule, got that one interesting game there at Florida State early, but even if they lose that, I mean, if they can take care of business in the American, I think they'll be there. I forgot to mention Seth Hennigan with the other quarterbacks we talked about earlier. He is a real gunslinger. It's going to be his 4th year starting. That's uncommon experience these days. And he is a gunslinger. And so I think Memphis, I'd be disappointed if I'm a Memphis fan and they don't get into the 12th. I mean, this is the year it's got to happen, and I think Silverfield has slowly sort of established himself, and took a little while after replacing Norvell like that, in the way he moved up. But I think now he's pretty well in there, and I think this arrow's all pointing up at Memphis. I think they could be in the final 12. I expect them to be. They're the pick, I think, from the American.
I love that.
Bruce, what is the outside perspective on Memphis? Because I think I know me and Bryant, we both graduated from the University of Memphis, so we wave our blue pom-poms and have our tiger blue lenses on when it's time to cape for the Tigers. But outside of the city limits and out even the Mid-South area, like what
out in your neck of the woods, in Las Vegas, what's the thought of the Tigers?
Like, what's the vibes are?
They still think the Tigers is a basketball school, because of Penny, because Penny's pretty visible, and people remember him. Silverfield doesn't. I mean, if you're a football aficionado, you know who he is, but they don't come to mind. I mean, there's respect for Memphis. The people who follow this stuff know Memphis has been pretty good in recent years. I think they make the next step up if they can hook in with one of the big leagues. And now I think the way all the expansion is gone, if there's any more, and they have to pull if they pull some from the American, whether it's into the ACC, whether it's into the Big 12, then I think Memphis is pretty well positioned now to finally get the call. The one thing you want to watch within 2 years, what's going to happen? I know the Pac-12 is sort of gone dormant, but not extinct yet. I mean, it still exists as a legal entity in Washington State and Oregon State. This would probably happen. They've got 2 years still to put this thing back together, but I think we'd know by this point next year if they're going to either A, make some sort of a merger with the Mountain West, B, try to pluck some teams from the Mountain West, and C, following up on B, if they do pluck some of the better, higher-profile Mountain West sides, would they go and pull from elsewhere in the American? I've heard Rice, Memphis mentioned, even Tulane, from some bigger media markets there, so that's possible. Everything, though, depends. Got to watch this case with Florida State at the forefront in the ACC, challenging the media rights, because if the Florida State wins that and the media rights deals are not ironclad, this would also mean if Stanford and Cal say that's an awfully awkward fit in the ACC, would they reconstitute them coming back into some form of the Pac-12? So within 2 years, we're going to see something else happen. And it could involve Memphis. So by 2026, I'm not sure Memphis is still in the American. There might be somewhere else. And if they did go somewhere else, it would be kind of a step up.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Absolutely. Talking to Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Switching gears a little, going over to Major League Baseball. We've been talking a lot of baseball today. But when you look at the New York Yankees, right now 2-8 in their last 10 games. They've lost 3 straight against the Cincinnati Reds. They're about to start a series tonight against the Red Sox. What do you see when you look at this Yankees team?
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, they looked like they were really, flying. Yeah. I mean, they had a run about 10-1 or something like that. They lost that last game in Kansas City, and then they lost 2 or 3 in Boston, and they haven't really recovered. And this is bad this week. The pitching had really fallen apart there for a while. The hitting slowed down against the Reds this week. So I think, we'll be right after the All-Star game, 2 weeks. The deadline's coming up a couple weeks after that. The Yankees may be pretty active. They might be looking to add an arm or two. Who knows about a bat? I mean, most teams are buyers now. There's not too many sellers out there. Mm-hmm. But I think they'd be concerned because they had a chance. The Orioles have flattened out a little bit, but the Yankees have sort of flatlined here for the last couple of weeks. So I think they got reason to be concerned here, and especially the way that the pitching all sort of fell apart at once there. Mm-hmm. So that's what I think. I think they got some real concerns at the Yanks.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the trade deadline coming up. When you look at a team like the St. Louis Cardinals, they're kind of right there in the mix for the wild card. They're 4 games over 500, but it feels like they're kind of playing better than this roster is. And I know earlier in the season, Brett and I talked a lot about this Cardinals team being sellers, but then they kind of turn it around and you think maybe they could be buyers. But you look at it, and I got this pointed out to me last week by somebody. The St. Louis Cardinals are the only team in the National League above 500 with a negative run differential, negative 37. So this team is kind of overperforming. What do you view the Cardinals doing at the trade deadline? Do you view them as sellers or buyers?
Well, they're going to probably be buyers to a certain extent. I don't think they're going to strip everything, but they have played better the last month or so.
Mm-hmm.
So they've maneuvered themselves back into position. A true sellers in the National League probably be Colorado and Miami,
Sure.
and everybody else thinks they have a chance. I mean, the Cubs have really collapsed, so I think they maybe we're looking to offload some people. But I think it'd be sort of measured if they can find, some pieces that they like.
Mm-hmm.
But it has come together. Okay, I expect the Cardinals will make the postseason, and I think I think they'll be a wild card. Very good chance to be a wild card, and that's going to be kind of dicey there because the Braves will be one of them, and then we got the Mets playing better lately. The Padres have played better. Cardinals, Giants aren't out of that yet. Pirates aren't even out of it.
Yeah.
But the Cardinals, I think, will be limited buyers. They can find. They're not going to be a seller at this stage, not with a chance to get in the playoffs like this.
Yeah. Looking at the slate tonight, is there anything that you like in any of these Major League Baseball games?
Speaking of those Reds, who probably could have flown back home from LaGuardia without a plane last night, I would watch them against the Tigers. I think it's a pretty good price tonight. The Tigers, though, Reese Olson goes tonight. I mean, sometimes this stuff is right in our face and we make it too difficult. They have lost 13 in the last 15 games that Olson has started. Now, he did pitch in some bad luck before last month, but in June his ERA was close to 6. This is not a bad price for Cincinnati tonight, so I think I'd look maybe at the Reds there. Totals play out in Oakland. How about these A's? 2 straight shutouts of the Angels, who, by the way, lost again today to the Cubs. But the pitching has been better. The bullpen's pitched very well. Hogan Harris on the mound, a little bumpy in recent starts, but his ERA is still around 3. Suarez comes in here for Baltimore tonight. It's been a real pleasant surprise. Baltimore's offense, though, has not been clicking too much, and they did win 2 or 3 in Seattle without scoring a lot of runs.
Yeah.
Total 8.5 tonight. I think that's too high, so I might look at the under there. One more, maybe Houston. Dubin starts, so he's an opener tonight. And Lopez has pitched pretty well his last couple of games with the Twins. Before that, he had really struggled. But look at Houston now. I mean, they are pretty much abreast of the Mariners. Well, they're one behind in the loss column now. Mm-hmm. They won, 12 or 14. Everything's starting to click for them. We've seen Houston do this before. And he's got arms in the bullpen to use. So I think Houston is an underdog tonight. I just ride the Astros for a while here. I think they're a good bet.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Bruce, before we let you go, where can we find more of you?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Check me out online at VegasInsider.com. Picks up there, and we got baseball, a lot of baseball now.
Mm-hmm.
My stuff out there also at CBS Sportstime, Sportstime.com, and new place too, winnersandwiners.com. They let me put baseball up there. They let me put soccer too. The Euros going on right now, and we are deep into extra time with France and Portugal. We're close to penalty kicks, which we almost got in Spain, Germany, but España wins right at the end to move to the semifinal to face the winner of this game. So I got Euro 2024 picks up as well at winnersandwiners.com.
Well, Bruce, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you, what happened to Team USA and the Copas? I mean, that was just kind of an embarrassing showing in the group stage.
Massively disappointing. I mean, this is their last dress rehearsal before the World Cup.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have only a handful of competitive matches before. They don't have to go through qualifying. They're already qualified as one of the hosts. They announced today that Berhalter, they're going to have a decision on him next week. I think they're going to make a change, whether they look, for a Jurgen Klopp or someone to try. I think that's pretty remote. I mean, we've heard guys like Alexi Lala suggest that, but there will be a coaching change coming up there in the summer in the Americans, and they got to get this thing right before the World Cup, because you don't want to go out the group stage when you're a host in the World Cup like they just did in the Copa.
Yeah, that would be pretty embarrassing. Well, Bruce, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again next Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Bruce Marshall joining us to talk a little bit of everything from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Also, winners and whiners. You can go find some of his plays posted over there. It's always a good time with Bruce and talking a lot of college football. I mean, it's kind of crazy how close we're getting to the college football season. And before we know it, Media Days are going to be here. SEC Media Days just in a couple of weeks. That's the same week in Dallas as the MLB All-Star festivities. So it's going to be a very busy week in Dallas here in a couple weeks. But we need to get to a break. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at Bell Tavern. I know people are looking for a place to get out this weekend, maybe catch some action, and I've got the spot for you. It's Bell Tavern, located at 117 Barbaro Alley. Open from 4 to 11 Wednesday through Saturday and 4 to 8 on Sundays. I know nobody likes a loud bar where you can't hear yourself think, much less talk, but that's the opposite of Bell Tavern. Start your night with a gourmet burger and one of their great cocktails in a quiet, dimly lit bar. You can enjoy a game mat with your friends. It's not even really a sports bar like you think of a sports bar. It's just a nice bar, a place that you can go and relax, but they've got all the TVs, so you'll never miss a second of the action. And it's not just the burgers either. I mentioned those burgers, but Bell Tavern also has the best bar food in Memphis and the coldest beer in the city. For more information about our friends over at Bell Tavern, give them a call, 901-249-6580. That's 901-249-6580, or go online to belltavern.com.
Speaking of Tiger football, we got some breaking news for them, too.
Okay, what's up, Zach? Talk to me.
Let's go ahead and tease that, and we're going to talk about that in the next break.
Zach, you're a pro. You're a pro's pro. Okay, so some Tiger news?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on the other side. That's next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Take your basketball shooting and passing skills to new levels at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge science and technology and provides instant objective feedback with actual hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching that will help make you the best basketball player on any court. You've heard about Shoot 360 in Collierville. Well, coming this July, Shoot 360 will have another bigger location in Cordova. Shoot 360 in Collierville and soon in Cordova will transition from 3- and 6-month memberships to a monthly membership model. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent or NBA player, all skill levels use the Shoot 360 basketball program to learn proper shooting techniques, improve their fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge. Shoot 360 Memphis. Call them today at 901-316-5500. That's 316-5500. Or visit them at 85 Market Center Drive in Collierville. And coming in July to Cordova. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool's been put away. Now's the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hard-working tools at hard-working prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do it for us at Harbor Freight.
Make your next grill your last with a Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on fuel, eating out, and replacing expensive grills that cannot match the flavor of the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia, to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. An easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today. 901-382-2363 or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Traffic's on the increase just a bit the last few minutes out here as you come out of the Midtown area on 240 southbound, trying to get past South Parkway. They were moving what looked to be a minor accident or stalled vehicle there near Lamar on 240 southbound just a few minutes ago. As that traffic picks up even more on 240 as you come past Bill Morris Parkway. It looks good right now. 240 over here up by Poplar. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Zach with you on this Friday afternoon. And Zach, being the pro he is, teasing some Tiger news for you didn't tell me what it was. Go ahead, tell us what the news is.
So the kid Raheem, I forgot his last name.
Raheem Hutchins Jr.
There it is. Raheem Hutchins Jr., the 4-star receiver, went on Instagram. Has committed.
Did he actually go on Instagram?
He went on Instagram.
Questionable the timing.
He put up a post on his story. He said, "Apologies, give him 10 minutes.
I see.
Sorry for the wait." So I mean, I can't hate the kid that comes in and apologizes for making the people wait.
You gotta apologize for something, I guess.
I can't. At least he is learning accountability on the fly, and I love that. Everybody needs to grow. Love it, love it, love it. No hatred towards the kid.
Well, certainly no hatred now after he announced his commitment to Memphis.
Yeah, now he's a Tiger. 2025 recruit commit. Now I think this is the third one to commit for the for next year.
Nah, they got plenty of commits for next year.
Next year, or this is the third receiver.
Third receiver.
Third receiver. Third receiver.
Third receiver. He was on that visit June 7th.
Mm-hmm.
He is now. Let me update my list. He is now the 6th player from that June 7th visit date to commit to the University of Memphis. I haven't really gone through and updated it. The only one from that visit that I know is not committed to Memphis is Peyton Joseph.
Yeah.
Who obviously announced his commitment yesterday to Florida State, which, and Zach, we talked about this earlier today. It's interesting, and I think this highlights kind of what I was talking about this morning during Dave's show. We have so many, whether it's the beat writers or if it's these blog guys, we have so many good reporters out there that cover Tiger athletics, whether it's football or basketball, and especially recruiting, that it feels like you always have kind of a good gauge on if a player is going to commit or not.
Yeah.
Based on how much people are talking about him, tweeting about him, stuff like that. Because like when Antoine Hill, when it was commitment day for him, everybody was tweeting about him. Everybody was, posting stories and, hey, don't forget he's recruiting at this, or he's committing at this time. Like
they're tweeting at him.
Yeah, it was all out there. Peyton Joseph yesterday, nothing. And maybe I just went on Twitter and I didn't see it yesterday because it was a holiday. But I completely forgot he was committing. And then like last night, I just pull up Twitter and I saw Jonah Dillon from the Commercial Appeal tweeted like, "Yep, Peyton Joseph chose Florida State." And I was like, wow, I completely forgot he was even committing.
Yeah, and I didn't know the kid was committing.
Sure. And so like Raheem Hutchins today, I saw so many people like, hey, Raheem's announcing his commitment today, this time. Like I saw 3 or 4 people tweet that out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay. Like, let's make sure we go. And he said he was going to commit at 240. Now, this is the problem I have, Zach, and I told you this during the break. We got to be more specific than that.
I understand.
240 is different everywhere.
Could be 2 different things.
So I was like, well, maybe he's on the East Coast and it's, 140 our time. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's in our time zone and it's 240. So I looked it up. He's from Texas. So I'm thinking like 240 our time. So I'm sitting here before our show starts like, okay, I want to know this information. Like if he's committing to Memphis, I want to be able to talk about this. And nothing. And then you said, I guess he posted something on his Instagram saying apologies, he was running late or whatever. So I'll accept his apology.
Yeah.
I'll accept it.
He has a lot of people pulling at him. So he's like, give him some grace.
So he picked the Tigers over Houston and Nebraska. I know Nebraska has a lot of things going for them right now. They got the number one Dylan Raiola, the number one quarterback in last year's class. He'll be a true freshman this year.
Isn't that the Raiola's kid?
Oh yeah,
the offensive lineman.
Yep. And I think he's a coach now.
Gosh, I am getting
or maybe it's his nephew. There is a relationship there, though.
I figured because there's not too many people named Raiolas.
No, I haven't ran across a lot of Raiolas. But yes, they're related somehow. Either uncle or father. And so he's up at Nebraska. So it feels like they've got a lot of momentum going for them. And I know they need receivers in this class. So I thought that was going to be out there. Obviously, Houston, he's from Texas.
Yeah, right.
Houston now in the Big 12. So this is definitely a big get for them. You mentioned 4-star. So he's a 4-star on ESPN, 3-star on 247. Not sure what he's listed at on Rival, but either a 3 or 4-star. So, this is one of those guys, border 3-4 guy. Yeah. Huge pickup. Like you mentioned, 4th receiver, if my list is correct, to commit to the Tigers. And, I mean, this class just continues to get better. And when you look at these weapons that they have, Antoine Hill and a lot of these receivers that they have, I think you feel really, really good about where this team is right now.
Yeah, I mean, you talk, man. Silverfield has been putting in a lot of work.
Well,
he and his coaching staff have put in a lot of work.
And this has nothing to even do with what he's done on the transfer portal, where you're seeing he's doing a ton, bringing in guys and bringing in. Speaking of, I mean, Ryan Silverfield tweeting out about getting his guy.
Yeah, well, he didn't say getting his guy. He said the fireworks continue.
There we go. See, I couldn't read it. You showed it to me, but I couldn't read it. He's Ryan Silverfield. He's got the Twitter down in terms of tweeting after all these guys commit.
He could mean one or more things, Brian. Like he could have said the fireworks continue. Like, hey guys, like I'm back at the house. I'm still popping fireworks.
So maybe not just the commitment. I think the GIF, the 25 look alive. I think that
right. And then obviously the second sentence doesn't really say loaded up on some serious talent as another big time playmaker joins the time. It could have been fireworks.
Just take it for what it's worth. But no, I think. A really, really good pickup for Memphis, and this class looks really, really loaded. And like I said, Ryan Silverfield clearly doing it on the recruiting trail, doing it in the transfer portal, and all signs point to this year's team being really, really good. So it looks like all momentum moving in the right direction for the Tigers. So definitely love seeing that for Ryan Silverfield. And I mean, Zach, here's the thing we're going to talk about, and I don't know if we're going to talk NBA here. We'll definitely talk a lot of NBA later with Keith Smith. But here's the thing, Zach. I mean, we're going to go from – there's a very good chance we're going to go from last year – before last year's completely different story, but last year where it's – Silverfield's only winning games against bad teams, and even against some of the bad teams, he's just barely finding ways to win. And this is not the coach for the future. He ends up winning 10 games, capping it off with a win in the Liberty Bowl over Iowa State. And then you get the rumors out there that maybe Indiana's interested in him. Maybe he's going to interview at Indiana, and people still saying, well, he's not good enough to coach at Power 5, and he's not good enough to be at Indiana, and is he even good enough to be at Memphis? We're trying. That's what you saw when you're going into is yes, Indiana. He's a great coach. You'll love him. He's going to be great because kind of joking, saying we don't really want him. Yes, please take him off our hands.
Right.
To if things go well this year, and Memphis gets that spot in the 12-team playoff, there's going to be some teams out there that make changes at head coach and say, Silverfield, hey, what's the word? Like, come interview for us. You've gotten this team so good. We see what you're doing recruiting. We see what you're doing winning games. You made it to 12-team conference playoffs. I mean, that's going to be an interesting flip if it happens.
Yeah, Silverfield's going to get the hey big head text
that's right.
next season if everything goes well. I mean, listen, like I think the job that Silverfield has done, taking over the program, obviously from the Cotton Bowl, when Norvell having to leave to take Florida State, which I mean, you couldn't say no. Couldn't say no. To now the point where they expanded the playoffs. This could be the first, and this is the first year that they've done this, and you possibly could get yourself into a situation where you could face against one of the big boys in these bigger conferences, and if you put up a fight, mess around and win a game.
I mean, that'd be insane.
I mean, you would love for them to like go in and come out as champions.
Sure.
But if you mess around and win one game, in that tournament, in that playoff,
that's icing on the cake.
Oh, we're putting that on a banner.
Oh, sure. Well, what was it? UCF that went undefeated and they started hanging national championship. If Memphis goes out and beats Texas or something like that in the first game, I'll hang a national.
We're hanging banners.
Why not?
First college playoff win.
Beat Texas in the first 12-team college playoff or whoever it is. I'll hang a banner for that.
But I mean, again, like if you go look at the last few years, even though the wins in the middle of his tenure weren't there, and the bad losses, he has kept his program above 500. Well, and that's all you can ask.
That's the thing. I mean, it's taken a while to get here,
right?
And I think it's kind of hard to view it because you had Justin Fuente, who, very quickly was able to turn it around and get things rolling. Mike Norvell comes in and picks up right where it left off, and then you get Silverfield in here, and Silverfield didn't do a bad job by any means, but it wasn't up to the level that Mike Norvell had left it at or how Fuente had left it at. And so you got that. I remember, this was 2 or 3 years ago, I was helping out with Channel 5 with their coaches show. And I would go down after every game, and Silverfield would go, and I think you would do a radio interview, or I forgot exactly the steps of how he would do it, but he would do whatever, and I was in charge of making sure he was set up, and then getting Jarvis Greer and Dave Woloshin in there to do their segment for the coaches show.
Right.
And I remember being on the field after games where Silverfield's walking to the locker room to address the team after a loss. I think it was maybe the loss to UTSA. Was that the team they lost to at home? I think it might have been UTSA at home, and it was a wild game. UTSA ended up winning it with like a field goal or something.
Yeah. And
there was, one guy that was just standing there in the stands, but right there above where they enter to go into the locker room. He was just letting Silverfield have it. The worst coach ever, and you don't deserve to even be on the field, and this one's on you, coach. This one's on you. Letting him have it.
Good grief. Yeah.
And I was going, man, this could get ugly. If you drop a couple more like this, but he is.
Yeah,
he's done the job and has been really, really good, and this year could be special.
It could be, and just like Peter Hardaway, he had to fight through COVID. He had to fight through a period where he's having to learn on the job. So, for him to be able to finally see the steps kind of like put it in place, having one of the top, I would say top 10 offenses in the country right now. Seth Hennigan's been your quarterback for 4 years, been in the system for 4 years. The weapons, the playmakers are there. You're just hoping that the offensive line can hold up a little bit. You can really make some noise. And make some people very uncomfortable, if the cards are played right.
And this last thing I'll say before we get to a break, I think listening to Bruce Marshall kind of just shows how the improvements that Ryan Silverfield has made and kind of where Memphis is at right now. Because I remember when Silverfield started, maybe his first or second year, and Bruce Marshall would come on and he would fade the Tigers during the season. Because during the regular season, when we bring Bruce on, and we're immediately going to games. And what do you like in this game? What do you like in this game? We'd always ask him about the Tigers. And a lot of times, especially on the road, he would fade him and just say, Ryan Silverfield cannot win games on the road.
Right.
And he would bring up this record, and it was not a great record. And so from him saying that to now today, where we're asking him about the Tigers, and he's saying it would be a disappointment if Memphis doesn't make the college football playoffs. That they're the leading team right now for that Group of 5 spot in the college football playoff. I think it should get people excited, and I think it shows kind of the improvements for Ryan Silverfield and what he's been able to do. Because, like you said, it was the worst place to start, and we saw it with Mike Norvell when he got to Florida State. You're starting as a head coach of a team, and especially with Ryan Silverfield, who is a first-time head coach. You're going through COVID. You're going through the transfer portal. You're going through the start of NIL. Everything is stacked up where, it's just a lot to have to overcome and a lot to have to deal with as a head coach, but certainly has things going in the right direction right now and has really been killing it when it comes to recruiting. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Smoke is our sauce.
What is the Central Barbecue slogan? What are we playing?
Well, I just think that we don't emphasize often enough that even though Central Barbecue offers a variety of sauces at all of their many locations, Central Barbecue's barbecue doesn't even really need the sauce.
We should mention that more often. Central Barbecue doesn't take any shortcuts. The barbecue at Central Barbecue is slow-smoked Memphis style for 24 hours to make it so flavorful you really don't need sauce.
That was my point. Well, boy, do they have great sauces.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying I'm going to go sauce-free at Central Barbecue. I'm just saying I could.
Again, exactly my point. Look at my copy. It's the first thing I said. You just hijacked the commercial.
See how it feels?
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. Five Ash Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
If the woman of your dreams has been searching online for the perfect engagement ring, she's figured out there's a few brand names that are worthy of consideration. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and she doesn't want a plain, ordinary cookie-cutter ring to wear the rest of her life. She wants a world-class designer ring, handcrafted by a true artisan that will hold value and stand the test of time. She's found Tacori, Verragio, Ajafi, Simon G., among other premium American-made designers. But when you try and find these exclusive rings, you quickly realize most stores don't offer them. They have knockoffs and lookalikes, kind of like those imitation bags and watches on the streets of New York City. But there is one jeweler where you can find the real deal, Genesis Diamonds. Genesis has been chosen by all the most sought-after designers. Genesis is your exclusive home for these iconic brand names that define excellence. Other stores can only dream of being able to offer these, but only Genesis has them. So be careful. Don't settle for anything less than the ring she is worthy of wearing. Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Looking for a way to elevate your engine's performance? Start with Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. It provides faster oil flow for hot and cold temperature protection in the harshest driving conditions. Regular use can help your engine run cleaner and longer by defending against sludge and buildup, improving overall engine performance and fuel efficiency while increasing the time between oil changes. Make the switch without slowing down. Feed your ride Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. Available now at Napa locations nationwide.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, I have to correct myself. I'm not going to throw you into this, Zach. I think I said Hutchinson when I was saying his last name, Raheem Hutchins. It's just Raheem Hutchins.
Well, I mean...
Not Raheem Hutchins. I started saying Hutchins, and then I started thinking of, like, the school Hutchinson.
Right.
And so it just came out. Raheem Hutchins. They call him Rah-Rah.
Well, I mean, at least you knew his last name. I couldn't figure it out.
Okay. That's all right. But, yeah, so that was the big news. He committed. It was actually funny on his... social media. I saw this during the break. He obviously tweeted that he was going to commit and then committed or whatever. So a bunch of Nebraska pages, like fan pages, got on there. And so the Cornhusker State quote tweeted that when he said he was going to be committing later this afternoon and said, Raheem Hutchins is announcing his commitment at 2:40 p.m., yada, yada, yada. Sidelines Nebraska comments under that and says, fell out of the race a long time ago. Cornhusker State comes back and says, how? Well, Sidelines Nebraska responds and says, he canceled his official visit here in June. To which Raheem Hutchins Jr. quote tweeted it like 10 minutes ago after he committed to Memphis and said, they canceled on me. Laughing, crying face. Let out the dirty laundry, I guess.
Let's go.
What happened? So
tell them how you really feel.
So Memphis gets a big commitment. That was definitely good news. But that's not my big number today. My big number is the number. I'll go. How do I do this? Can I throw a fraction in? You know what? I'll go a decimal point. 6.2. Is that acceptable?
Is that like a percentage or something?
6 2/3. Is that, which one do we like better? 6.2 or 6 2/3?
It doesn't matter. 2/3.
Those aren't the same.
Well, when it comes to like what I'm saying, it is. It is. I promise you, it is.
I'm with you, Carter.
But because I'm talking about innings pitched.
Wouldn't 6 2/3?
No. Okay, now you're bringing math into this. I'm talking about innings pitched. People either say that he threw 6 2/3 or he threw 6.2 innings.
I got you.
You got me now?
Yeah, I got
you. All right, math lead. I mean, good lord. All right,
it wasn't math in Corner at all.
I'm gonna go with 6 2/3 as my big number. Nick Pivetta was awesome yesterday for the Red Sox. A great outing against the Marlins. The righty struck out 10, gave up 1 hit and 2 walks in 7 innings.
Hello.
Good outing for him. You don't have Nick Pivetta on your team.
No, I cut him.
What? Really? Wow.
No, I had to let him go.
Recently or like wow?
Yeah, no, this is recent.
Oh wow! So right before a great outing for him.
It's the Marlins. I kind of expect them to have a good outing against them.
So you're probably asking, where's my 6 2/3 come into play? He went 6 2/3 innings before giving up his first hit, which became the longest no-hit bid on the 4th of July since Cincinnati's Tom Browning did it in 1989 when he went 8 innings of no-hit ball against the Phillies.
Ooh.
How about that?
Hey.
A little nugget for you.
I got a number for you.
Do you? You got a big number.
I have a big number for you.
I'm surprised.
It's the number 12.
Because I didn't tell you to bring a big number.
No,
so
but
you just surprised me. Okay, the number 12.
Number 12.
It's my favorite number.
Is it now?
Yeah, it is. I love number 12.
Is that true?
Good looking number.
Always been true.
Yeah, it's a good looking number.
Well, I think you might find this interesting.
Okay.
Bryant, 12 years ago. I don't know how old you were 12 years ago.
12 years ago would have been the year 2012?
Yeah.
All right. Good year, I guess.
The year 2012. That's the year I graduated from high school.
Really? That was the year the world was supposed to end.
Yeah, but clearly we're here. So
I guess so. I guess so.
12 years ago, Brian, the NBA was a whole lot different than it is now.
Sure was.
And the contracts were a lot different, too.
Sure were.
You want to know who had the highest contract that year?
In 2012.
In 2012?
Bron.
Bron. That's a good answer.
Wait, is it the right answer?
No.
Rats. Who was it?
Connor, you want to take a guess?
I don't think I have one.
At all?
I was going to say LeBron.
Bron.
Oh, Bron was your guess, too?
It was.
It was Kobe Bryant.
Oh, the Bean.
The Bean.
Wow.
The Bean.
I guess that makes sense.
Kobe in 2012-2013 season had the highest salary in the NBA.
I can't wait to hear what it was.
He was getting paid $27.8 million.
Wow.
And we're basically almost like triple that amount.
Oh yeah, what is I had it was my big number a couple days ago about Jason Tatum's contract. I don't know if I still have it saved.
I know that's the area code for St. Louis.
Yeah, but so I brought this up earlier this week maybe. Salary per year. So just think about Kobe Bryant. How much he was making. Jason Tatum yearly is making $62.8 million a year in his new contract. Jason Tatum wants to be Kobe Bryant. The nugget that I brought up though, so $62.8 million per year for Jason Tatum. The entire Anaheim Ducks roster yearly as of July 1st, 2024, $58.3 million. So Jason Tatum is going to make in a year more than the Anaheim Ducks are going to pay their entire roster in a year.
Crazy.
It's insane.
That's it.
And
It
NBA
is.
money's stupid.
LeBron that year in 2012, $17.5 million.
Wow.
For the Miami Heat.
And now what, do you just sign one that's $50 million a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, LeBron's doing well.
That was 9th in the top 10.
Was it really? Who was second? Do you have who was second?
Who was second? So 2 is Dirk Nowitzki at 20.9. Carmelo Anthony at 20.5. Amari Stoudemire, 19.9. Joe Johnson with the Brooklyn Nets at 19.8.
Love Joe Johnson.
Dwight Howard, 19.5. Pau Gasol, 19 million. Chris Paul, 17.8.
Wow.
LeBron James, and then Chris Bosh at 17.5.
Wow. How about that? Well, we need to get to a break and wrap up this hour. I'm glad, Zach, that you brought a NBA big number to the table because we're about to talk a ton of NBA because Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show, he joins us next.
There are many real estate companies out there, but then there's Banyan Tree Realtors on the Cottonville Town Square. There are hands-on, family-owned boutique real estate companies whose agents have been offering exceptional attention to their clients for over 40 years. In an ever-changing world, Banyan Tree continues to maintain a small-town personal charm while providing a worldwide connection through its internet marketing presence. Personal service will never go out of style at Banyan Tree Realtors. Their agents are people you can trust, offering service you deserve. From residential homes to commercial properties, farmland, land lots, and historical houses, Banyan Tree has the expertise you can rely on. So if you're downsizing, upsizing, moving in, or moving on, give Banyan Tree Realtors a call today. Craig Smith and Mary Jean Smith and their agents are ready to serve you. Call today at 901-620-8920 or 901-359-2520.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Grand. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $4.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at the Los Cabos on Summer near Grand.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show. And on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Joining us now, he usually joins us on Thursdays, but obviously we were out yesterday for the 4th of July, so he's nice enough to join us on a Friday afternoon. It's Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He joins us now. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you had a happy 4th of July yesterday. But it's been a busy week in the NBA. A lot of fireworks this week with free agency opening up. Has there been any real surprises to you since it opened on Sunday evening, or did all of this kind of happen and you said, I kind of expected that? What's been the biggest surprise for you?
Yeah, I think all kind of intertwined was Paul George going to the 76ers, the fact that he actually left the Clippers. That was still, even if we were looking like that was going to happen, the fact that actually happened. But then how well the Clippers did bouncing back and adding players to kind of replace him. And then when we got to the Golden State Warriors and Klay Thompson actually leaving, again, a pretty big surprise. But the Warriors, after losing Klay and losing Chris Paul, they also have bounced back pretty nicely with the moves that they've made.
Yeah. Well, when you look at those two teams, like you said, both those teams losing star players, but both finding ways through free agency to bring in some good players. Which teams right now, as of right now, after those big moves, have put themselves in a better spot for next year?
I think Oklahoma City is one for sure. Yeah. I think adding Isaiah Hartenstein is so huge for the Thunder because they're now it was funny. I had a lot of people say, but their secret was Chet Holmgren is such a matchup nightmare at the 5. And my point has been, so you can still do that, but now when you need more size, you have it, which they didn't have on the roster before, right? They can now go to Hartenstein to defend guys like Jokic or against the Timberwolves with the double big group and those kind of things. That's huge for the Thunder. I think Philly got better with Paul George. I think the Knicks adding Mikal Bridges was a big move. I think a lot of teams have gotten better over the course of the last couple weeks here. I don't know that anybody necessarily screams out as like, oh my gosh, this team is demonstrably worse, minus maybe the Chicago Bulls who are headed in a little bit of a different direction than a couple of the other rebuilding teams.
Yeah. I think it was The Athletic earlier today did a few winners and losers, or teams that are getting better, teams that are getting worse. And a team that they said, was in kind of that ladder, the kind of getting worse or maybe a loser free agency so far, was the Denver Nuggets after losing Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to the Magic. How much or what does Kentavious Caldwell-Pope do for this Magic team that was a fun team to watch last year, and how much will that hurt the Nuggets next year?
Yeah, that is a big loss for Denver because right now they haven't done anything towards replacing him. They talked a lot leading up. Calvin Booth on draft night mentioned, if we lose him, we'll be okay because we have Christian Brown, and really talked a lot about that. But which maybe indicated he kind of had a sense they weren't going to be able to keep him. Christian Brown's a nice player, don't get me wrong, but he's not Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The Nuggets, the last couple of years, have had the best starting 5 in the league, and now Orlando getting KCP, their big weakness was they had to clean up their shooting, right? Everybody said this team needs more shooting, but they were very cautious of doing that at the expense of hurting their defense. Well, now you've brought in a guy who's also, he's not quite the defender he once was, but is still a really good defensive player. Him and Jalen Suggs, that's going to be one of the better defensive backcourts in the league. The Magic got a lot better with that move, essentially upgrading from Markelle Fultz to KCP.
Keith, we briefly was talking about, before we brought you on, 12 years ago, how the contracts 12 years ago with Kobe Bryant being the largest one with $27.8 million per season, to now it's like almost to 60. Yeah. Maybe even eclipsing 70 here in the next offseason. What do you make of these new contracts, and how can teams navigate the volatility of the CBA with the tax aprons to where if you end up losing a good player because of, you don't have enough space to pay them, like how can they navigate that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's been kind of the two-word dirty word phrase has been second apron, or first apron, or hard cap, right? Those are all like been the scary terms of this offseason so far. But what has basically happened in the NBA is they tried to put the clamps on those really high spending teams, and it wasn't hey, you want to build up your team and then keep all your guys. You can do that, but you're not going to add outside talent too. And what we ended up seeing happen here over the last couple of weeks was the Warriors went in a different direction. Lost Clay, lost Chris Paul. The Clippers lost Paul George. And the Nuggets even, losing KCP. So now we're in a spot where those teams, excuse me, those teams are in positions where they're all kind of having to rebuild on the fly a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned Chris Paul. That one kind of went under the radar just because it kind of happened late Sunday, and then you wake up the next day and a lot more deals have happened. What do you think of that fit with Chris Paul going down to San Antonio to play for Pop, play alongside Victor Wembanyama? Obviously, they went out during the draft. They got Stephon Castle, a young guard, maybe can learn from Chris Paul. But what do you think of that fit?
Yeah, I think that's a huge addition for the Spurs. They had talked a lot about how they wanted to kind of grow up a little bit next season. Like just not that their guys were bad guys or anything. They were just extremely young.
Right.
They wanted to add another veteran or two to that group to really try to kind of push things forward to the next level. And that's what Chris Paul is going to do for them. Chris Paul is going to give them another guy who can come in. Chris Paul is not going to be a 35-minute-a-night player in average, 18 and 10 anymore. That's not who he is. But he can come in and give them 20 to 25 minutes a night in average, 10 and 6 and help shepherd along this young team. He's the kind of guy who can say, hey, Wembanyama, when you're supposed to be there, you're supposed to be there. You can't be late. You need to be doing this. He's going to tell the other guys, hey, when he rolls and he's open, you can't miss him. You got to hit him. So those are going to be the kind of interesting things we're going to see happen here with the Spurs, and we're going to see that team really kind of grow up quite a bit over the next year with Chris Paul. And I'll say this, too. They're not done yet. They're still trying to find guys to kind of, add to that talent base. They're trying to get better, not necessarily like shortcuts, but just get better quickly.
Sure. We were talking about Golden State. You mentioned obviously losing Klay Thompson, but they go out, they add Buddy Hield. What does he do for that roster? Where do you see this Golden State Warriors team next season? Because I hear a lot of people, and we've been hearing this for the last year or so, of the dynasty is starting to come to an end. We're seeing the end of it. Now you're seeing the first real piece of it leave the team with Klay Thompson going to Dallas. What do you expect to see from this Golden State Warriors team next season?
Yeah, I think they're in transition, obviously, right? Especially without Clay being there. He's just been there, forever. He's been as big a part of everything they've done as Steph and Draymond and Steve Kerr. So that's going to look different. But Buddy Hield's coming in. That gives them the replacement shooter. Then getting Kyle Anderson in, that gives them that kind of combo forward that they didn't really have last year behind Jonathan Kuminga and behind Draymond Green. He's a really good playmaker, connector type. So now they're going to be able to add him coming off the bench, and he's going to be able to really do some stuff for them. Then you get into adding DeAnthony Melton, comes in, different kind of player from Chris Paul. But I think for them, provided that he's healthy, he's had a lot of back issues the last year plus. If he's healthy, that gives them a different look at that guard position, and that's going to be really important for the Warriors. Because now Melton can play with Stephen Curry because he's used to playing in off-ball roles. He has a little bit more size than Chris Paul does, a little bit better or more versatile defender at this point in their career. So I think the Warriors, despite the star power kind of going out, I think they actually got better here in the last couple of days.
Keith, we got a TV in here, and we keep it on ESPN. Right now, they're talking with Woj about DeMar DeRozan, who's still a free agent out there. And you mentioned the Bulls a second ago, and maybe taking a step back. I remember talking about them during the season of maybe they become a team that goes and sells all their guys. What is the market for DeMar DeRozan, and where do you see him landing in free agency?
Yeah, that's a really tough question to answer because most of the cap space is dried up.
Yeah.
Cap space teams now are the Utah Jazz and the Detroit Pistons. Well, neither one of those are fits for DeMar DeRozan.
Right.
He's not going to go either of those places. So then you start talking about, all right, is he going to take a mid-level exception? Even those are not freely available around the league. You've got a lot of teams that don't have theirs available anymore. So now then you start turning into, all right, is DeMar DeRozan going to sign somewhere through a sign-and trade? Or is it best for him to really take a step back, take a lot less money from a team through the mid-level exception, and get back on the market a year from now? That's the kind of stuff that we're going through right now with DeMar DeRozan. As far as what team, I really can't answer that because every team is like, yeah, we'd have interest, but we're looking to do these 6-7 other things too.
Right.
So he's just kind of stuck in a limbo right now. I do know San Antonio has expressed some interest, as has Sacramento. So we'll see if San Antonio says, all right, we'll go the cap space route. We'll throw some of our remaining cap space at DeMar DeRozan. They can go that way. Or we could see Sacramento say, all right, we can find a workable signing trade. Let's try to make this happen. But for right now, there's no easy answer to that one. He's kind of the last big free agent left.
Yeah.
In the last few years, the last big guy left hasn't gotten paid because it's just kind of everybody's out of money, and he just kind of has to take whatever's remaining.
Talking with Keith Smith of SportsRack.com. Keith, shifting over to the Grizzlies. For the most part, their roster has been intact this entire offseason. With the addition of Zach Edey, Jalen Wells, and Cam Spencer in the fold next season, where do you stand on the Grizzlies as a team going into next season, and what are your overall thoughts of Luke Kennard and his contract situation?
Yeah, it's funny with the roster overall. I was kind of joking with someone just yesterday. And I said, they're like, man, the Grizzlies, they added a few guys in the draft, but they haven't really done much. And I said, well, yeah, but that's because they're adding a guy named John Morant and a guy named Desmond Bain, right? Because that's just kind of how it was last year, right? With everybody was hurt. So I think Memphis, in a lot of ways, is like, I know they're not really additions, so you can't go buy a new jersey. So everybody's like, man, I want the fireworks. Bring me a new player. But I think they're being very smart, being very patient. I thought. And we talked about it last week. I thought Zach Edey was a good pick for them in the draft. And I think what they're looking at now is, all right, if we want to bring back Luke Kennard, two things we're running into. One, we don't really want to be a tax team. And two, we're running out of roster spots here, right? Like it's going to be tough to bring all these guys in and roster everybody. So that's what they're kind of working around right now. For Kennard, I think, a lot of it depends on, can they move off a little extra money? Can maybe they move out John Conchar or Zaire Williams, somebody like that? And then could you bring in Luke Kennard, and then Luke Kennard comes in and has a spot on this team? Because I do think there's a place and a role for him still to play. But right now it's roster spots, and then ultimately how much is he going to need to be paid? Because it's probably not going to be anywhere near like the team option that Memphis declined a few days ago.
I'm glad you mentioned Conchar, and obviously Zaire Williams, his contract is he's on an expiring deal as well, because a lot of the fans are just telling themselves like, well, why don't they just package as many second round picks as they can and just give it to a team that has cap space so that we can just be rid of these players?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly an option, right? I've been the line I've been using for right now. It's mostly with Detroit, but now Utah's in the same boat. Is like they're standing there like the Statue of Liberty, right? Bring us, you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor, and you're bad contract. Just make sure you send a draft pick with them, right?
Right.
If you're Memphis, what you want to be very cautious of, because you are in a position where the team is starting to get expensive. They're probably going to get more expensive as like Jaren Jackson Jr. needs paid, and then a couple other guys come up as needing paid. So what you want to be very cautious of is that you don't bleed out too much draft capital trying to dump small contracts because Conchar and Zaire Williams, they're not making that much money, right? So for those guys, you want to be very cautious that you're not spending too much to just dump their deals. You want to be very careful of, hey, we're not going to give you 2 draft picks. We'll give you 1, keep maybe both of those guys or something like that. You just want to be very careful that when you are more expensive, when you need that draft capital to fill out the back end of your roster, you don't want to be caught without it because you don't have it because you used it all up in prior trades.
Yeah. In terms of players that are on the trade market, it sounds like Lauri Markkanen is probably the biggest one right now. What have you been hearing on him? I saw a report earlier today about Golden State showing some interest in him and trying to put together some sort of package for him. Where do you see Lauri Markkanen landing, and who can maybe kind of fit that and kind of has the assets to be able to go out and get him?
Yeah, this one's really interesting because this is what Danny Ainge does best, is sit here kind of in the catbird seat where it is, I've got all the cap space, I've got the good player, I'll take draft picks and bottom this thing out and turn it into, we're chasing Cooper Flagg and Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper and VJ Edgecombe next year. Or then maybe even the year after, we're in on Cam Boozer and AJ DeBonza and those guys because he's sitting there knowing this is a multi-year process for us. He's not interested in being the 10th seed or the 8th seed. Danny Ainge wants to win championships. And he believes that if the best thing to win a title is tear this thing down even further, he's going to do that without hesitation. And he's got that support of Utah Jazz ownership. So that allows him to look at, all right, if he thinks tomorrow the best thing to do is keep Lauri Markkanen and, keep him around town, and then we'll figure it out later, he'll do that. If he gets the right offer to move Markkanen tomorrow, even though that'll make the team terrible, he'll do that. He is really open to kind of doing whatever it is, and that's what makes it a little unpredictable. Now, you mentioned the Warriors are in on him. Spurs have called on him. Miami is interested. There's a handful of other teams that are all kind of looking around and saying, well, right, we're going to have to pay him eventually. But right now, $18 million for Lauri Markkanen, all-star level forward who can kind of fit a lot of different ways with a lot of different teams. That's what I think we're looking at, and teams saying, yeah, we can get in on that if that's the direction we want to go.
Yeah. I know last week we talked a lot about Bronny James after he was selected in the second round by the Lakers, but J.J. Redick has made a lot of headlines this week after during the introductory press conference for both him and Dalton Connect, he said that Bronny James earned this and that it had nothing to do with his father or anything else, that he had earned his spot. Then we also saw Bronny James sign a 4-year rookie contract worth $4.9 million that includes a team option. But kind of listening to J.J. Redick and Bronny both speak during that introductory press conference, both of them kind of harped on the developmental aspect, that they're bringing him in and that 4-year deal is going to be a lot of him developing and kind of them showing him the system and what they want him to do. What did you make of those comments from J.J. Redick that a lot of people have been talking about, and him getting so much money in this first deal?
Yeah, so the money part of it, it's unusual because of where he was drafted as the 55th pick. That's generally been a two-way type contract for guys. Every once in a while, like the Golden State Warriors gave Trace Jackson Davis a pretty good deal, picked in that range last year. So he got more money than what was expected for his draft position, but he got the second-round pick exception, which is something a lot of guys. Tyler Kolek actually got a little bit more money than that over a 4-year deal. A lot of guys got these second-round pick exception deals, and those are pretty common. So we're in a spot where that part's not too surprising. Now, the comments about he earned this, he's going to work, I think that is J.J. Redick kind of going to bat for his guy, right? Like, he's on my roster now. I'm going to defend my guy. I am going to make sure everybody knows, like, we've got his back. And I think what they said is right. He's got to learn and develop. This is not anybody who thinks Bronny James, I don't care what he signed for, is going to step in and play tomorrow. Like, that's crazy. That's not going to happen. But, well, he will play tomorrow because that's a summer league game. But you know what I mean. In an NBA game, that's not going to happen. But Bronny James getting plenty of time in the G League and those kind of things, that makes a lot of sense because now we're in a position where the teams can kind of just get them in and kind of get them going and get them in a spot where they feel pretty good about, all right, we're going to let him learn at his own pace and learn on the fly. Bronny James needs a normal summer of training and development after what happened with the heart issue last year.
Sure.
Train, develop, practice, and then a lot of reps to play. And that's when he's going to get in the G League. I thought it was interesting. The Lakers came out and said, hey, Bronny and LeBron playing together, we're going to try to kind of get that out of the way in the first week of the regular season. Well, there's two things behind that. One, get it out of the way so not everybody's asking for it every single press conference. And then two, get it done so then you're in a position where then when the G League season starts, Bronny can just go to the G League and plan on working there in the G League.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you bring that up because I've seen so many, especially after, like you said, those numbers came out and that, 4-year deal came out. I've seen so many national people talking about, Bronny James, because of whatever reason, Bronny James is going to be on their, standard roster and he's not going to be in the G League. He's going to be getting minutes with the Lakers. And I kept saying, I don't think that's what that means. I think it's just a deal. He'll probably spend most of, if not the entire year in the G League. And I didn't know if there was something behind that I was missing, of maybe because of something in the deal he couldn't go down to the G League. But that's just people talking. He'll spend most of his time in the G League, is what you're saying. Is what at least you assume.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's going to be in the G League. Yeah, if not the entire season, for most of it. He will definitely have games where he comes up with the Lakers because one of their benefits is their G League team plays and practices out of the same training facility as the Lakers do. So he'll be right there. So if it is, hey, we've got a couple guards out tonight, I'd like to activate Bronny or not activate him, but let's have him up with the big team tonight. But anytime there's an opportunity, I think, to play in an actual G League game, they're going to have him in the G League because that's going to be what's best for him. And the Lakers are not going to force feed him NBA minutes because they know he's not ready for that right now.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on that. Well, Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Thank you again for joining us on a Friday. Enjoy your weekend. We'll do it again next Thursday.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Keith. Keith Smith joining us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. And I've seen a ton of that, Zach, of like national media people that should know better. And I understand it's a clickbait era and people are trying to say things and post things that are going to get the most reaction. But I've seen so many people saying, oh, well, because he got $7.9 million and a 4-year deal, he's not going to be playing in the G League. He's going to be getting minutes and he's going to be sitting on the bench with the Lakers. It's like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's not how that works.
He was drafted 55 for a reason.
Exactly. And so I thought I was going crazy. I was like, can he not go down? I was like, I know he can because, like, the Grizzlies have had plenty of guys that were standard contract guys that played in the G League.
Vince spent a lot of time in the G League.
Gigi.
Kennedy Chandler.
Heck, Tillman even spent some time in the G League.
Yeah.
It's...
This is not one of those mutually exclusive type of things where, he's definitely going to be around the pros. No.
And so I thought I was losing my mind. Like, I thought there must have been something like in the clause of his contract saying like he is not allowed to go play G League or something like that. And I was like, it can't be right. Because I've said, and I know we've talked about it, Zach, like I think Bronny James with the right development could be a fine player in the league.
Yeah.
And so, but I do think that means being in the G League and learning. And I told you, we talked about it earlier this week, I know on Dave's show, of like, JJ Redick was stressing that in the press conference of like, this is completely developmental. Like, he even called it like a case study of, this is a case study of getting a guy that maybe hasn't produced at that level, but has shown that he can develop into a good player.
Right.
And we want to get him in our system where he's just learning what we want him to learn, and we're showing him, you do these things, you improve on these things, and you're going to be a player in the league. And he goes out and does that. And I've been saying for a while, like, I don't think that's a bad idea for a guy. And I think two things are true. I think you can say he got drafted because his father is LeBron James, but also it's not a bad idea for a player with upside to go early and be in a system in the NBA where he can learn and figure things out rather than playing college ball or when we had Ignite or something like that.
Right.
So it's gonna be interesting. But like Keith mentioned, Summer League tomorrow for Bronny James.
Yeah, and also, when you have a LeBron James on your team, you want to win now.
Yes. You're not just going to give Bronny minutes so he can play with his dad.
Yeah, because I love how everybody kind of like play into this narrative like, it's going to be the first game of the season. Right. Bronny's going to get in the game, and LeBron is going to pass him his first assist, and he's going to score his first bet.
Right.
I'm like, let's wait.
Well, I love what Keith said, because here's what's going to happen. There's like that couple weeks when the NBA season starts before the G League season starts, the Lakers will be in a game where they're up 20 points in the fourth quarter.
If they're up 20 points.
Well, but there's going to be a game. They'll get like Utah on the schedule.
And Utah going to mess around and be up 20 points.
Or something like that. But they'll be in a game where they're up late, and it's like very decisive of we've won this game. They'll say, LeBron, stay out there. Bronny, go on and check in, and we'll have this moment, and then you'll spend the rest of the season in the G League where you can really focus on developing and focus just on basketball and not the fact of you and your father want to play together. So I like that idea, but I am excited for the Summer League to start tomorrow out in California. But we need to get to a break. We're late for one. Let's go ahead and grab that. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
HBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in for real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Women here in Memphis are wearing bigger, better quality diamonds and some amazing designer rings thanks to the arrival of Genesis Diamonds. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis came on the scene here last year and shook up the jewelry world big time with rock-bottom prices on diamonds, a selection that's like 20 times ordinary stores, designer rings you can't find anywhere else, and guarantees and warranties that are the strongest in America. A relaxed, no-pressure, laid-back experience with no commission salespeople. Everybody here is loving what Genesis is doing. Whether you want a lab-grown diamond or a natural diamond, Genesis will easily beat anyone else's price. The owner is a former diamond wholesaler, and Genesis has cornered the market on the world's most acclaimed designer rings. They have all the top 10 designers in the bridal world, thousands of handcrafted rings made by the premier designers. For whatever special occasion you have coming up, don't go to the old-fashioned stores for the same old, same old. Discover the store that's raised the bar in quality, selection, and value. Prepare to be blown away. Genesis Diamonds on Poplar at Perkins Extended.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still plenty of radar down I-40 over in parts of Arkansas as you head out towards Forest City. Some earlier on I-40 in Fayette County, right when you come out of Shelby County there up by Airline Road. Traffic still looks pretty decent over here right now. 240 east as you get on to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. Havenly Showers is your curbless shower specialist. Transform your bathroom with a tub to curbless shower conversions. For more info, log on this weekend to havenlyshowers.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett.
Man.
I did that on Wednesday. And I'd almost gone through the entire show without doing it.
It's the glasses, I bet.
Because I don't say it at 5:45, so this was literally the last time I messed up. I'm sorry, Zach. Zach in with us. Zach
I think it's
Boyd.
the glasses.
My glasses or your
No,
glasses?
my glasses.
You think you and Brett resemble each other?
No, well, I mean, in your eyes, I think we resemble because you said it twice.
Maybe.
Already.
I don't know. I think you look a little younger than Brett.
I am. you know, sunlight,
That's right. Hey,
shea butter.
That's right,
Drink you some water, eat some vegetables.
A little vitamin C.
Some fruits.
Yeah, I mean, it all helps.
A little exercise here and there won't hurt.
Hey, not at all. I need to exercise, man. I played basketball yesterday outside. Felt like 100. I was told it felt like 115 outside.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I was gonna pass out. I thought I was gonna die. But I'm still here.
Yeah, that humidity, no joke.
No, it's not. Zach, Wednesday we talked about the Cowboys because the defense was having, I don't even know what they were doing. Today we talk about the Cowboys because Dak Prescott was seen over the last couple of days with the 4th of July festivities in a walking boot. Does that worry you?
No.
No walking boot.
I mean, man, look.
What's he doing getting himself in a walking boot?
He said his ankle was sore.
Yeah. Oh, so it was just like precautionary?
Yeah.
See, I didn't see a ton of reporting about it. I did see one that I want to talk about here in a second, but
I don't know. It's one of those things where if the Cowboys in the news or anything happened with the Cowboys players, like
your front page headlines.
Oh my goodness! Like
season's done already.
I mean, like I'm surprised they're not showing anything from Micah Parsons right now because he was at Mark Rubin's party.
Yeah, that's right.
Playing football with Tom Brady and C.J. Stroud.
How about that? Oh, him and C.J. Stroud are boys.
Yeah, that's his buddy.
Yeah, they do like a podcast together and stuff.
I already seen tweets and different people coming out saying like, man, he spent more time with C.J. Stroud than his own quarterback. I'm like,
that's great.
Golly, y'all, it's the off season.
Always something, Zach.
It's the off season, man.
Always something. So that doesn't bother. I saw one of the reporters for the Cowboys, John Machota, you beat me to it. He said it's an ankle injury that should have no bearing on his contract status, and more importantly,
the season.
It's likely he plays out the season with no new deal.
I can see that. And if that's the case,
tense.
I've already came to terms with Dak Prescott not being a Cowboy after this season.
Can I be honest with you?
What's that?
I wouldn't mind if he's not a Cowboy.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either, because then people would actually see his value as a quarterback. Because then at that point, I kind of want the Cowboys going to quarterback purgatory.
Well, I don't want him to do that.
I kind of want that to happen.
What if they go out there and like I don't know, like draft like Shador or something like that?
That's just a clickbait title.
That was like
that's very clickbaity.
Like the first mock draft I saw after this past draft was
Shador Sanders.
Shador to Dallas.
Sure, but I mean,
that's his move, right?
What?
Point at the watch.
Oh, the rollie.
Yeah.
Got the what's the other watch? I forgot the name of it.
I
don't know. I it's in my head. Yeah, there it is. The Patek.
There
Yeah.
you go.
So, I mean, sure, but that all of that depends upon the head coach, and we don't even know if Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, now
we don't even know if Mike McCarthy
hates Jerry Jones. I mean, good lord.
Look, I don't blame him either, man.
I mean, I would too if I had to be around him every day.
Good grief! Like every time you turn your head, it's some type of storyline that has nothing geared towards football.
I tell you, and I think you said this earlier this week, would have been the perfect season for the Cowboys to be on Hard Knocks. I mean, with all of the drama surrounding this team right now,
it would have perfect season this season, but it would be even better the following season. Because, like I said,
like next year.
Oh yeah, Dak is on a contract year. Mike McCarthy's on the contract year. Pretty much a lot of these players are still looking for big contracts. CeeDee Lamb's still waiting on his contract. Micah will be up for a contract. Like, at some point, something got to give. You got to pay your guys, man.
I'm getting a headache just thinking about all this stuff.
You got to pay your guys. So I'm curious. I'm curious, but then at the same time, I kind of want them to go into quarterback purgatory because they've been blessed.
I don't want them to go into quarterback purgatory.
I do, because you know why? You know what? Because they gotten complacent.
I've gotten complacent as a fan because I don't really like Dak.
They gotten complacent, man. Like I
like Dak fine, but
Dak was a 4th round pick. Tony Romo was undrafted.
You're right.
What was the last? Who was the last quarterback they spent in the first round on the quarterback spent in the first round?
Great question.
Probably what? Troy Aikman?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, was Troy Aikman? I'm guessing.
And that was in '89. None of us was born.
No,
when he got
far from it.
Like, wasn't even thought of. And so they got complacent, man. They just think that, quarterbacks, you can just go find you one and plug away.
I'm trying to find a list of quarterbacks and like trying to see where they were all drafted because Troy Aikman was the number 1 pick. So, and that was in '89. So, if that's the most recent, that's incredible.
Yeah. I think he's the last one that they spent on a 1st round pick on. I think he's the last one in their franchise.
See.
Yeah, Troy Aikman, last 1st round pick, quarterback.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe.
And then once Troy retired, quarterback hell.
It sure was.
Quincy Williams, Vinny Testaverde, Drew Bledsoe, Drew Henson, like
Andrew Wright.
What
do you got on Andrew Wright?
That's a throwback. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Ryan Leaf.
Ryan Leaf.
Drew Bledsoe.
That's what I'm saying. Like they were blessed to have Tony Romo, finding him undrafted. By the way, who was that? Brian Broaddus of 103.5 The Fan.
Yeah.
He mentioned the story of how Tony Romo ended up being a Cowboy.
How'd it happen?
And it was because of Sean Payton, like, pushing for Tony Romo to be a Cowboy.
Wow.
And, like, the scouts were, like, saying, like, hey, what about this Tony Romo kid? And everybody was just, like, sitting in silence.
Wow.
So, you was blessed with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
You were blessed with having Dak Prescott in the 4th round, right? Perfectly transitioned from Romo to Dak. And now you're playing with house money, or I don't even want to call it house money, but you're playing with fire.
No, you definitely are playing
because you don't want
to
pay your starting quarterback $60 million when there's like half of the top 10 quarterbacks that have gotten their money right now I think Dak is better than.
I would have to agree with
a little
that.
bit more over half.
Yeah, I would probably have to agree with that.
Who has just as amount of playoff success as he has. But hey, we can't win with Dak. Dak is a loser. Dak can't win in big games. I'm like, yeah, well, shoot, put him on a team where he doesn't have to worry about distractions from his owner and from every single headline in the news worrying about, well, what does this mean on Dak Prescott with Trey Lance in the fold? Like, nobody cares.
Oh, Trey Lance. Maybe your answer's already on your roster, Zach.
If he's not the starting, if he's not the second quarterback on this team, then I'm not worried about him.
Well, back up Trey Lance.
I'm not worried.
I'd love to have a Trey Lance game this year where he comes in and
just like Cooper Rush.
Well. Oh man, Cooper Rush, don't get started.
Oh man, 5-0. Like Cooper. maybe we need to look at the Cooper Rush.
Oh, maybe, I don't know.
Offense was like 27th in the league. I'm like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, no, not great. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Holy cow, it'll be a roller coaster if Dak Prescott goes through the season without a contract and then gets to the end of the year. And
Dak, get your money, man. Like don't let these jabronis tell you otherwise, man.
Jabronis.
Go get your money.
Oh, good Lord. We mentioned it earlier, but your guy, Franz Wagner, you're a big Franz Wagner guy.
Yeah.
He gets the $224 million rookie max extension. We said it earlier, but we didn't really have time to talk about it. I only got a couple minutes here to talk about it. I mean, this Orlando team, they get KCP, obviously Paulo back, Franz Wagner back in the fold. This team could be scary this year.
Yeah, very. Like again, the two-man game of Paulo and Franz is looking really good. Bring back your veteran and Gary Harris.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that they're going to be like competing for the number 1 or number 2 seed, but this is a team that I'm sure a lot of people would say I don't want to see them in the postseason, where they kind of struggled this year in the postseason.
Man, if they get themselves a point guard,
man,
if they really get themselves a point guard, like find the actual Tyus Jones, if they really get themselves a point guard,
that can name out there still in free
can
agency.
Distribute a little bit.
Yeah. Tyus Jones.
But they're setting themselves up for a really good season.
I didn't even think about that. That would be a great fit for Orlando, getting Stones in there.
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Because like no shade to like Suggs or to Cole Anthony. Yeah. I just think that you need a pass first guy.
Yeah, both those are scorers.
Right.
I like that idea.
You need a pass first guy as your point guard, especially when it's Paolo and then Franz.
Oh yeah.
And then you possibly looking at who's their third guy on their team? Like, maybe Cole?
Yeah.
Maybe Wendell Carter?
Yeah, Wendell Carter, probably. I mean, they got some dudes. I mean, they've got some fun pieces.
You know?
Obviously, it's all about how it comes together, but they've got some fun pieces, and getting KCP in there, I think, is just going to make them better. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, wrap up today's show. We'll wrap up this week with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Buster's Butcher at 199 South Highland Street in Memphis. We're a full-service butcher shop offering a curated selection of quality meats, cheeses, prepared foods, and more. At Buster's, our skilled butchers are also experienced chefs. They'll be delighted to guide you on selecting, preparing, and cooking our fine selection of products. We're like nothing else you can find in Memphis. Learn more at bustersbutcher.com and come see why every cut counts at Buster's Butcher.
Looking for a way to elevate your engine's performance? Start with Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. It provides faster oil flow for hot and cold temperature protection in the harshest driving conditions. Regular use can help your engine run cleaner and longer by defending against sludge and buildup, improving overall engine performance and fuel efficiency while increasing the time between oil changes. Make the switch without slowing down. Feed your ride Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. Available now at Napa locations nationwide.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Celebrate July 4th with the hottest deals at Lowe's. Right now, get 2 select 2 or 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals for $10. And buy 2, get 1 free on select paint and exterior stain via Lowe's gift card rebate. Shop these deals before they're gone because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid for 7/10. Annuals offer in-store only. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Paint. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details. While supplies last.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together. Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so. Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello,
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Zach, what I learned today is that Jontay Porter, still in the news, making headlines. I saw this yesterday, but we know Jontay Porter was alleged in helping, taking himself out of games and telling people to take the unders and stuff like that. NBA gave him a lifetime ban from the NBA. 4 men were charged last month with conspiracy to defraud a sports betting company. Because, I mean, the numbers out there was like the game that he took himself out and said he either had an illness or was injured, and everybody, the most bet on prop in the NBA that day was Jontay Porter under 3-pointers made, and so people were making like millions of dollars because they're just betting everything on Jontay Porter under. So 4 men were charged last month with conspiracy to defraud a sports betting company, but and Porter was not named as one of those defendants. But now we know, or that we're learning, that Jontay Porter is facing federal charges for his role in the alleged sports gambling operation, though he's expected to plead guilty on July 10th. And these would be felony charges against him. So, I mean, I don't know if it sounded a lot better to him when, oh, yeah, man, we can make a bunch of money, and I'll just say I was injured. I'll just say I was sick. Just take the unders. This will all work out. But now not only is he banned for life from the NBA, but he's about to get charged with a bunch of felonies.
Whew. You don't want that.
No, that's not what you want to hear.
what I learned today. That's what we're.
That's what I learned today.
That's what you learned today.
That's what I learned today.
I learned today.
What'd you learn today?
That you have to be careful when you're in open water with animals.
Oh, jeez.
Because we talked about this briefly off air for a hot minute. Like, young lady was one of 4 shark attacks over the 4th of July weekend.
Yikes.
This past week, leading up to today, yesterday, over at South Padre Island in South Padre Island in Texas.
Never been there, Zach.
Never been there. I didn't realize sharks swam that close to.
I didn't either.
To Texas.
They can keep them.
Yeah. So there's a very graphic picture that has been posted. It's been circulated of the young lady's leg, and we talked about, could you survive off of a bite, or or you just gonna have to get the leg amputated?
Yeah,
and so it's just I feel for the young lady, because the last thing you was expecting on the 4th of July weekend is, hey, you lost
your calf.
You're gonna lose your leg this weekend, possibly.
I saw that. I was eating dinner last night, 4th of July dinner, enjoying it. Get on Twitter, open Twitter. First thing I saw was that picture. Had to close it immediately. I don't need to see that.
I was confused for a second, because I was like, wait, what is happening?
Oh man, I knew exactly what it was when I saw the picture. It was gross.
So so for those that are on any type of coastline, just be careful. Just be mindful, man. The sharks are there.
Careful. I guess it seems like a lot more shark attacks this year, or at least more people talking about them. It's definitely weird. What I could have done without, I saw this video last night. Zach, you were watching it during our last break, but Khalil Ware. He was asked about his Mount Rushmore for basketball. So this is what his Mount Rushmore consisted of. Wilt Chamberlain. Okay, completely understand it. He's a big man, and Wilt Chamberlain, one of the greatest big men to ever play. Kobe Bryant. Absolutely understand.
That's
Kobe,
fair.
the GOAT. Love Kobe Bryant. Then he said, I would put MJ in there. And the guy interviewing him goes, you would? And he goes, yeah, but I heard some of those stats might have been a little false. What?
You got faulty stats from MJ now?
Yeah. So, and so he's like, okay. He goes, so who? He goes, I'll put Ant in there. Anthony Edwards, a current player.
Well,
I mean, Anthony Edwards is a great player. I don't know if I'm putting him on my Mount Rushmore yet.
I mean, if you can believe in conspiracy theories.
Well, son of MJ. I mean,
could
maybe
possibly be the son of MJ on
next
there.
best thing, I guess. Then his last, so that's 3 of them. Bam Adebayo.
Oh, he just sucking up.
Oh, I mean, got to. Your fellow big man in Miami. I mean,
he's sucking
probably
up.
hadn't even met him yet. Knows first practice might be ugly, and
He's just trying to get Bam to take it easy on him.
That's right.
When training camp comes
he wants to come
around.
in and Bam be like, oh yeah, hey Bam, you remember I said you were on my Mount Rushmore? You're one of the best to ever do it, Bam. I don't think it's gonna work.
I don't think it's.
Khalil Ware is good. I mean, I like Khalil Ware.
That's funny. It's funny. It's cringy, but it's funny.
It sure is. A lot of good games tonight in Major League Baseball. Should be a really fun weekend of action too. I saw Alan Bell. One of the plays he gave us was the Nerfy for Mets and Pirates. That hit. So one win already for shout out to Alan Bell, as that game's still 0-0. Cardinals and Nationals have already started. 2 men on right now for the Cardinals, 2 outs in the top of the first, so we'll see what happens there. But that's all the time we have today. Zach, again, thank you so much for helping us out these last couple of days. Been nice to have you along. But Brett will be back on Monday with us, so everybody enjoy your weekends, and we'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.
Guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger,